I recognize your face, and I recognize Staxioms. I recognize that handle.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
No,
Okay.
we chatted a few times.
Everybody ready? We're going to get this show on the road. Let's do it. Okay. Welcome, one and all, to yet another episode of WIC TV. It's a cross-ideological space where we come together, talk about issues both political and cultural, from the silly to the serious. Gang, we've got a show for you tonight. Today, the President of the United States tweeted out that members of Congress were guilty of sedition and should be hanged when they reminded U.S. servicemen and women that they should disobey illegal or unlawful orders. The question becomes, when Democrats retake the Senate, the House, the White House, when we win, what should be done about those who are currently in power and those who have supported those who are currently in power? What should be done with them who have broken the law or hinted at wanting to break the law? All these things. Should we, for the good of the country, come together, move on, move forward? Or should we have a Nuremberg-style kind of trial and hold these people to account to the fullest extent of the law? We're going to talk about it today. We've got some great guests. First guest we're going to give it to is Staxioms. Staxioms, give us what you got.
Hey, yeah, I was hoping to maybe hear from them to understand what exactly I'm attacking, because it kind of depends on their positions. So I'll just kind of swing wide and say that Trump has been laying ground for the possibility of corruption by providing coverage for his political allies. I'll point to people like Roger Stone, him pardoning January 6 rioters, him pardoning George Santos. He's provided coverage for those who give him money. I'll point to his corruption with the meme coin. And I also want to point to that when he was asked why he was pardoning CZ, Trump simply said, "I heard it was a Biden witch hunt, but I don't know who that is." And it seems like there are likely a number of people who are feeding the president information to curry their favor. I can focus on specific key members of his administration as to who specifically I think that we should be targeting. I guess maybe that sounds like an extreme word, but I don't feel like it's an extreme word. But I will say that according to a Washington Post analysis, Trump officials have allegedly defied court oversight in roughly 35% of more than 160 lawsuits. It would be bad for the country to provide an incentive for people like this to run it, I guess, is my position.
Well, thank you.
Wait, hold on. Are you on our side? Who's on whose side here?
Yeah, I'm on your side. I think. I really want to hear what Connor and Prime have to say, because it really depends on.
Sure.
Do we have sides in this debate? Is this like a 2-on-2, or is it just like four of us are just kind of giving our opinions, or what?
No, it's a 2-on-2.
I think I'm on
my
Steven's
side.
Yeah, Staxioms, Destiny versus Counterpoints and Prime.
Look,
Staxioms, just real quick.
Okay, we're good.
Staxioms, calm down with the questions. The last time you asked someone a question, bad things happened. We don't want that to happen here, okay? We're going to keep going.
Jesus Christ, chill. But also, I asked the question, so it was all good.
Wait, I think there's like three different. I don't know if they're specifically saying crimes haven't been committed. I don't know if it's specifically that like they're saying it would be bad for the country to charge them, or if they're saying Nuremberg style is too far. So I kind of wanted to hear which of those three sides. I'm against all three of them, but I wanted to specifically hear which of those three sides they're on.
Okay. We're going to get to it. Don't worry. Counterpoints, go ahead. Why don't you educate the man?
Yeah, thank you. So I side with the intellectual P.F. Young in that Trump is a symptom, not the disease. He's a symptom of several factors that are out of control. I would say wealth inequality, rapid demographic change, existential technological shifts, and the dissolution of the social fabric are the things that are pushing people towards radicalism. And so, once again, Trump is the symptom, not the disease. So unless we start addressing those things, we're screwed, because we're just going to have another Trump in another 4 years or another 8 years or another 10 years or 12 years. When it comes to Nuremberg is obviously reminiscent, or actually, I think, directly referencing the Nazi trials. Now, people have heard me. I've complained endlessly about the hundreds of thousands of people who have been killed by Trump's incompetence through the cuts of USAID and PEPFAR. I still would not assign the level of, while hundreds of thousands of people, potentially millions, will die as a result of Trump's incompetence, I don't think it rises to the threshold of intentional industrial style genocide. And so I hope that's hyperbole. Also, I think that we should differentiate could versus should, because we should do a lot of things. Like Destiny should just send me $100,000 via PayPal right now, but that's not going to happen, right? So could that happen? Sure. But what's actually going to happen is the Republicans are not going to want to impeach him. He's probably going to pre-pardon his entire administration and pre-pardon himself. And then the only thing that you could probably do is a January 6th style commission that I would actually be in favor of. But no, I don't think we're going to be able to hang these people. I don't think we're going to be able to criminally convict them. I don't think that dragging it out for 2 years is a good idea. So that's what I'm here to fight on.
Okay, well, thank you for being here. We'll get into it as we go. Let's give it to Prime next. Go ahead, Primecayes.
I'm in Staxiom's position. In that.
Oh shit!
In that I'm leaning no. All right, so I'm on Counterpoints side. All right, for Steven's benefit. But I'd like to hear the other side to understand their arguments, their positions. Oh, and also, just before that, I want to thank Wick for being so kind as to invite me. Glad to be here. And Prime and Destiny reunited after like 2 years. It feels so good. But anyway, thanks so much.
Oh, okay. I guess we'll go to Destiny then.
There needs to be big memes. I think that there are 2 parts to it, 3 parts maybe. The first part is the insurrection for every single person involved in this administration, mainly for the point that none of the people that are supporting Trump now in office should be allowed to run for office ever again in the United States of America. That's the first thing. The easy way to do this also is if Trump starts pardoning everybody, well, if he's pardoning people, pardon is an admission of guilt, charge them with insurrection. You can charge them, consider them pardoned, and now they've qualified for being charged, convicted, and they've been pardoned of the crime. Doesn't matter. The pardon doesn't get rid of the part of the 14th Amendment that would say you can't hold an office again, so fuck them. So that's number 1 and 2, okay? Number 3, the smallest criminal thing, investigate every single person was part of this administration and get as much out into the open as possible. I think the important thing about stuff like Nuremberg, the important thing about these big public trials is there needs to be a public accounting of everything that's happened. And for whatever causes lead into people wanting to vote for Trump, they are absolutely fed into by the misinformation, by the historical rewrite of everything that's happened. And we need to be able to have an honest account of what's happened historically. Right now, half the country doesn't believe that Trump lost the 2020 election. Like, we can't go forward in an environment like that, and simply changing leadership in the Conservative Party is not going to undo all of the incorrect things that Republicans believe have happened. Trump was not a mistake. Like, Trump was a natural consequence of Republican demagoguery and Republican rhetoric and Republican strategy for the past 3 decades. It's no surprise we wound up here, and to act like it would be to ignore the fact that Trump 2 could come, right around the corner.
Okay, and does that educate everyone on everyone's position, or is everyone clear now? Can we move forward, or do we need further edification?
I mean, we'll get it as we continue. I'll ask a question if I can, please. Right. So, Stephen, hello, hi. The last part of what you said talked about revealing the truth, right? Like correcting the record. And I'm certainly not against that, but like it seems like you're specifically trying to correct the record for the Trump cult. Do you believe that public trials will actually do that?
Yeah, I think if the information is out there, I think it becomes much harder to ignore what's actually happened. Yeah, I think it helps.
Information's out there now, right? It's been out there.
Not like in an easily accessible way. It's like buried behind PDFs and buried behind commissions and buried behind stuff that, 1, it didn't get the full public attention that it deserves. And then 2, the people who denied all of that information were rewarded by still being able to run for office and hold office. I think that if you do this mass like insurrection charge or whatever you have to do to get all these people to never be allowed to run for again, then there will be, going forward, probably more of an incentive to be like, well, fuck, maybe we shouldn't just lie blatantly about everything that's happening, because there are going to be political consequences for us down the road.
I can agree with the last part, but I disagree with the first part. The information is absolutely out there. Like did Trump's was the 2020 election stolen? No, right? Documentaries galore, videos out there, right? Like news segments about. All of that exists, right? Articles, digital ink spilled. Yet it persists. So I I disagree, at least for now. I can be convinced otherwise. But I disagree that simply having some grand trial where the heroes of MAGA are put before right, a tribunal where they can be, where Fox News can position them as heroes against the resurgent democratic regime, right? I disagree that that will necessarily lead to a brand new age of truth for the MAGA cult. No.
Are you against criminal prosecution writ large?
Absolutely not. Oh, absolutely not. I can assure you I'm not.
Okay, what if we find like a number of Trump officials criminally liable?
No,
And like
Staxioms. The thing that I'm pushing back against right now, is simply that the claim that he's saying this will edify the MAGA cult. I don't think that will. I'm not sure anything can actually do that.
I think that if the Mar-a-Lago case would have gone through, I think that would have been very damaging to him, and it would have been much harder to deny everything that happened there. But a lot of people just don't even know the details of it because that court case never happened. I think it would have been good for that to happen.
Okay, sorry, I just have to mute myself in 2 locations, but I do want to jump in. So, can we separate out like probability versus should real quick? So probability. If we had to put it on a probabilistic scale of like 0 to 100, what Staxioms and Destiny? What do you think the probabilistic scale is that this, like, there's even the political will for this?
Oh, probably quite low, I would say. Unfortunately.
yeah, no, I would tend to agree.
Okay, so what we're really talking about is like moral should. We're just this is an ideal. Well, ideally, I would fire Trump from a trebuchet into the Atlantic Ocean. Okay, that's what I would do. You're not going to find anybody sweeping for the Trump admin on this side of the aisle. I think what we're talking about is now that we've eliminated that as I am not legally permitted or morally permitted to fire Trump out of a trebuchet into the Atlantic Ocean. Now we can kind of move into like what's politically pragmatic about the situation. And when you appeal to pragmatism, I actually don't think that the Nuremberg style trials would be helpful at all. I think you would be creating a cult of personality. I think you'd be creating a persecution complex, especially without criminal convictions, especially without the mass insurgency thing. You can do the January 6th style committee where you document all of the alleged crimes and probable crimes of the Trump administration, but without convictions and without prohibitions from office. I think this is a waste of political capital. And I think that what's going on, like I said, is that there are 4 sociological variables that are contributing to people being radicalized. And if we don't address those, and if we don't spend political capital on those, we're fucked.
Well, I would say that for the Mar-a-Lago thing, for instance, that would be a trial. Like, I'm sure there are chargeable offenses here that we can literally have a trial and have people locked up for. Number 1. And number 2, I think I would argue that one of the big things that is a sociological variable playing into the decision-making of these people on the right is that there really is no punishment for acting the most unhinged way possible. They're still allowed to hold office. They're allowed to lie with impunity. There's no punishment. Like, going forward, if there's not a reckoning, you would be an idiot as a conservative to not act in the same manner because you've constantly been rewarded for it.
I don't agree with that, actually. So I think that what's happened, at least this is my view on it, the Trump cult has painted itself into a corner where they've put all of their hopes and energy and political capital into a single man, a very flawed man, someone who at minimum within the next 6 months is going to be probably exposed as either covering for an ephemophilic sex trafficking ring or participated in an ephemophilic sex trafficking ring. Those are like covered for is the best case scenario. Steve Bannon was communicating with Mr. Jeffrey Epstein as recently as 2017. Like, I think there might even be some text messages from 2019. And, Steve Bannon was Trump's campaign manager. So the whole point about this is like, he's about to take a huge black eye. In the midterms, the Republicans are probably going to get shellacked. And then when he's gone, there's nobody who commands the same level of Trump cult of personality. And I think J.D. Vance has been tapped on the shoulder as the next like MAGA prince. But I think that J.D. Vance is an infinitely more pragmatic person than Trump ever was.
I don't disagree with you, but it doesn't change anything I'm saying. Like, if you're J.D. Vance, or if you're anybody in the next part of the Republican establishment, whatever comes after MAGA, if you see that the last part of the establishment got completely screwed by acting in just a blatantly illegal manner, then you have less incentive to do so. But if you see they got away with so much stuff, then that's all going to be in your playbook. Like, okay, well, what rules can I break or bend?
But I don't think he has the Riz. I don't think he has the Riz to
Vance doesn't, but Trump did. Nobody knew that Trump was even coming. Who's to say there's not going to be somebody like Trump in the future?
I mean, the argument right there is whether or not the dissident right wing or the Christian nationalists are going to produce a Trump-like figure who's charismatic to win in mainstream politics. I mean, that's what Nick Fuentes is hoping on, actually.
Sure, but if somebody produces that figure, they're more likely to, ascend to the throne and operate in an unhinged manner if they feel like there's no punishment for doing so.
Well, I agree, but then, okay, so right now, let's talk about it from a process of function, okay? So we have a process of function where effectively what you're saying is we could still do, if they did mass pardons of the Trump admin, what would you charge Marco Rubio for as the person who was running the Department of State under Trump too?
I think if they historically, a pardon has been seen as an admission of guilt. It's part of it. So if they are pre-pardoned, then I would just formally just charge them all with insurrection and then say that they're pardoned from it. And then at the very least, that bars all of them from running for any public office again.
But what's your evidence? Because as far as I know, Marco Rubio wasn't involved in the fake elector scheme or January 6, 2021. So what is your evidence?
He's a part of it. He supports the current administration.
In insurrection.
He participates in the current administration, and he's more or less a supporter. He's a cabinet member.
Just to be clear, how far does that go down? So we obviously
every single elected person in the Republican Party right now.
Repeat that one more time.
Trumpers. Every single person in the Republican Party right now, except for like the never Trumpers. So like your Masseys, I guess, maybe your Rand Pauls.
That's obviously political suicide, wasting political capital. It's effectively a meme position. It's not even a real position.
Okay, so
I thought the meme position was where we pretended that the 2020 election didn't happen, and then we doubled down on every single thing we believe, but then we still managed to win in 2025. I thought that was the meme position. But
are you saying even like state senators, like not even national positions?
Yep.
Yeah. So disbarring half
city
of
council
the political process is not an option.
Yep. Wait a minute. So city council, right? You would say
if they're Trumpers,
all of
hell
them.
yeah.
Well, city council people very rarely position themselves in party.
I mean, people run, anyone who runs, he's saying anyone who runs on the R ticket, right? Except
council members usually don't have R tickets.
I understand that. I'm saying, but the point is he's saying everyone, right? So mayors, right? Okay. Whatever.
Anybody that supported Trump, if they weren't actively calling out the Trump admin, if they were ever playing into it or whatever, then they're part of it.
Hold on.
Good luck with that, Stax.
So I'm going to let Prime talk, but I know why I would feel that way. Why the fuck do you feel that way?
What do you mean? Because I think that all of these people have contributed to an authoritarian regime that is the most anti-American regime in U.S. history that has almost brought our country to the edge of destruction.
Okay, but at the same time, we have, when it comes to like the deportations of Andre Hernandez Romero or Kilmar Abrego Garcia, ultimately the courts were still able to reel them in. When it comes to January 6, 2021, and by the way, I'm not defending Trump. I think we should fire him from a trebuchet into the Atlantic Ocean. But when you're talking about this process, Marco Rubio, to my knowledge, did not participate in January 6, 2021. And what he's guilty of is overseeing the decommission of USAID and PEPFAR, which is going to lead to approximately between 3 million and 14 million preventable deaths worldwide. That's like a man-made Holocaust through incompetence. But I can't think of I don't know how you would charge him with insurrection for participating in the Trump admin related to being a dickhead. Like that, these things are not connected.
He aided and abetted the enemies of the state by being a cabinet member for Trump and doing his bidding.
Wait, but now you're just playing into now this is just the tit for tat bullshit. We're effectively like, what is it? Today, the Democrats did a 1-minute video, which I approve of, by the way, saying, hey, military service members, hey, members of the intelligence community, you are sworn to an oath of the Constitution of the United States, and you have to remember your oath, and you should not follow illegal orders. Donald Trump, as Wick mentioned, said, these people are guilty of sedition, and the punishment of sedition is death. Okay, so all you're doing is you're just playing into, in my opinion, this this hysteria that every single political fight is existential.
Well, except it is on that side. They're the ones that are saying that everything is existential while they're being existential. That's part of their existential fight, is by saying that everything is existential.
You're making it existential by saying that if you had the power, then you would disbar them from politics and wielding power altogether.
Yeah, but I think I have a good reason for that. They don't have a good reason to say we should execute sitting senators and congressmen.
So, we'll get back to
I got plenty.
I'm sure he's given us plenty, right? But I got one question for each of our friends here. One to Staxioms. I want to pull you in. I want to hear your beautiful voice
for sure.
How much of this do you agree with? I mean,
Yeah, well,
so to be clear, hold on,
sure.
just let me ask the question, right? Yeah, to be
Yeah,
clear,
for sure. Go for
what
it.
Stephen has said is that everyone who has supported Trump, right? I'm assuming he means everyone in office, but I'm not entirely clear on that either.
I think he
But
said in office.
okay, well, everyone in office,
Wait, what would
right?
that
Even
Like anyone
What
who
else would
voted
it
for
be?
him, would we
yeah,
bar people who voted
yeah, but if
for
you voted
Trump?
for them, that's also support,
The
right?
200
Support
million
for.
people. I assume
I,
Steven doesn't think those people.
We could just ask him. He's here.
We shouldn't assume
Okay.
logic from
Yeah,
him.
you wouldn't. It wouldn't be every single person that voted for him because they're not. They're also for the
Okay, great.
insurrection thing. You have to be a prior oath taker, so you'd have to have held public office, and we can't access people's votes.
Yeah,
so.
okay. I'm not taking
Thank you.
Steven literally. I'm taking him seriously. Okay.
Yeah.
Take me literally
So-
and seriously. I can be taking both. I'm not Trump. I don't need a translator or to speak like a retard. So.
Okay. So Staxiom, right? Do you agree with
my
this?
implication
That,
of being that Trump speaks like a retard? I wasn't attacking anybody on the panel. That was my thing.
No, that's fine. No worries.
Yeah, Staxioms, do you agree with?
Sorry,
Dead air,
go for it.
I'll
Yeah,
go.
so
You guys go.
No, sorry, I was waiting for him to finish his question. Yeah. So the first thing that I'm going to point out is I felt like Connor was attacking this idea that like just because it was Nuremberg, like we're calling it the Nuremberg trials, that doesn't necessarily mean that we're like making that equivalent to what the Nazis did. Like obviously what this administration doing is not as bad as the Holocaust, but I definitely, that's why I definitely wanted to hear where people's opinions were, because this is actually, I might even say more extreme than the Nuremberg trials, because weirdly enough, the Nuremberg trials, people were found innocent. Like I think like a quarter of them, maybe a fifth of them were found innocent, even like high ranking officials. And I'm genuinely curious, Stephen, like what do you feel like the Nuremberg trials didn't go far enough? Like if you were an official, you should have just been sent off to
The important part I think about the Nuremberg trials was exposing everything that happened under the Nazi regime, right?
Okay, great.
That was like the important takeaway.
I'm for that, but I disagree with your with how specific, like the fact that any law official, any government official, including like state senators who just voted R and weren't critical of Trump. No, I don't agree with that. Prime, does that answer your question?
Okay. Yeah, I appreciate that.
That feels extreme.
Fair enough. All right.
But I'm certainly for an extreme sense of justice and subpoenaing, and is that the verb? Subpoenaing?
Subpoenas.
Subpoenas.
I think subpoenas out. I don't know.
Yeah. Regardless, I'm for chucking the book at virtually every Trump official in his administration.
I think it's only now you have to send the subpoena. Okay, but to Stephen, you said specifically you had a carve out there. You said except for never Trumpers. How do we determine a person's a never Trumper?
All the people that took at great risk to their own career positions against Trump. So Liz Cheney, Adam Kinzinger, Massey, maybe Rand Paul. He'd be on, maybe, yeah.
Sure. Hold on. Yeah. But I hear you on those, right? That's fair. But since we're talking about all elected Republicans, could you tell me the never Trumpers that have run in Orlando, Florida?
Nope.
No, you can't. Okay. All right. So how do we? So above the top line, right? Above below the federal line. How do we determine these individuals? Because all of them may not have been very public, but maybe they didn't. They had private thoughts. They said something to their friends. Is that enough? I disagreed with Trump to my friends.
Consult the record. They're public officials, so they should have public statements. That would be pretty exceptional for them to have no public statements as public officials.
Yeah, but Thomas Massey voted with the Republicans 91% of the time. Like he's still in lockstep as far as Trump's agenda goes when it comes to securing the border, when it comes to the big, beautiful bill, when it comes to this, when it comes to that. I mean, he might have fought it at some point, but once again, 91% voting record that aligns with Trump over the past decade.
To that point,
okay, you can get rid of them too, if you want. Sure.
To throw something, what about Fetterman as well? Would he be liable for this?
Yeah, because he's like normalized. Like,
I mean, I definitely think fuck that guy, but like, I don't know if he's liable for the
psycho shit. This is my party should rule indefinitely without challenge, and I think it's crazy.
Sure.
I think there's no rooting in reality.
This is why I'm trying to get. That's why I'm asking about details here, right? To like really nail down what the hell we're talking about. Okay, so you're saying they have to have made public statements. Okay, if they were elected within, was it 2027 is the last year of his reign, right? So if they're elected in 2027, a Republican, right? Do they count? Right? Are they up for these trials as well?
If they ran under a Trump ticket, sure. If they were like supportive of Trump, yeah.
Yeah, but hold on. That's not exactly honest because Fetterman has been also very against Trump. Like he's made a lot of public statements like rejecting Trump, but you also said that Fetterman should go too. So I'm
Has he
curious.
made a
what
lot of statements?
specifically
I don't know. I guess you could find some particular issue. Whatever the particular thing is, if you want to concede the argument that you agree that we should do this, and now you just want to argue over the specifics of like who should be included, that's fine. For 90% of elected people, it's going to be plainly obvious. How you would determine
agree with you.
the edges, we could leave it up to a court to
should do
decide.
this.
We could leave it up to a court to decide, or we could leave it up to a commission to decide, or whatever. But like, I mean, I'm not going to say like, oh, actually, I'm going to change my mind on this entire idea because there's going to be some edge cases that are difficult to decide.
No. That's fair.
I concede that
No, it's not
55%
there.
of the Republican Party should be barred from voting indefinitely. I don't concede that. I think that's
voting.
Yeah,
I'm
it's,
not saying. But who said voting? I just said holding office again.
okay. 55%. 55% of the Republican Party voted in order to elect Trump as a first choice during the primary. Let's just say that correlates up to the Republican Party, where 55% of the representatives support Trump wholeheartedly as a first choice. I think that separating those people from politics is fucking insane.
Yeah, so I think it matters here, right? So that like if let's pretend I'm a Republican, right? Let's pretend I'm in office, right? If you're saying there's a way out here, well, I care about that way out. Oh, I'm a never Trumper too. I mean, I was always a never Trumper. Didn't you hear me say, right? Like maybe on some website somewhere, I said something critical about Trump. Doesn't that count?
These are public officials. They make public statements. They have public offices. They put out public press releases. These are not random individual private citizens. Definition.
This is already so absurd that we could just go ahead and concede like a hypothetical in which we were able to perfectly discern every single never Trumper versus every single Republican. It's still a stupid fucking idea. It's still a wild idea.
We'll do that. Let's do that.
I have a question. When you and this is for Destiny, if this is the public position that you're advocating for, what incentive does any Republican or anyone who's ever held office under Trump have to ever denounce Trump? Does this not just make them more incentivized to always support Trump? Because if they don't and Trump loses and the Democrats win, then they know that they're never going to have power again. So why would they ever?
Yeah, he's become the boogeyman that the Republicans pretend he is.
Yeah, no, that this whole thing of like become the boogeyman is like raping someone over and over again, saying this person is physically abusive, this person is, and then the 12th time you rape them, they punch you and they go, look at that, you've become the violent person I said you always were. I'm sorry, that's fucking retarded. Also, I don't know why you're speaking hypothetically, Wick. Do people have to support Donald Trump? Otherwise, if they don't, they feel like they're going to be held criminally liable for things. That's literally the entire story of the entire Republican Trump administration. How many people in pardon that have committed crimes either directly on his behalf or on behalf of his administration or just other crimes and then ended up supporting him? Like the Republicans already have this thought process, and it needs to be exterminated. The thought process, not the people.
Wait, hold on. This is such The reason why this is such bullshit is because I feel like you just either don't understand or don't want to understand the MAGA narrative and why it's appealing to Americans. The whole narrative is that since World War II, we have had a runaway federal government that has grown and grown and grown and grown outside of the Constitution. The Republicans have been playing footsie with the Democrats forever, and as a result, we now have a wrecking ball. So regardless of whether or not you think Trump is a good person or a bad person, things like cutting PEPFAR and USAID, that's good on a principled stance because billions of dollars shouldn't be going overseas to help people who aren't American. Slashing the DOE, deconstructing the Department of Education. Well, the federal government, realistically, we're 50, relatively speaking, sovereign states who should be deciding our own local affairs. Well, that's a good thing because the DOE, since it's gutted, it's now giving local control to education. You can say that those stories are bullshit. You can say it's nepotism. You can say it's cronyism. You can say all the corrupt things, and I'm probably going to agree with you 7 out of 10 times. But that doesn't mean that people with Americans, especially with the First Amendment, with freedom of speech and freedom of conscience, that doesn't mean that opinion or behavior should be made illegal. That's fucking insane. That's insane. You yourself are advocating for a position that's contradictory to the Republic of the United States. It makes no fucking sense.
Literally not. We literally have an amendment that literally bars people from committing insurrection and holding public office again. So I think my opinion is much more
how has Marco Rubio committed insurrection?
By supporting an insurrectionist.
That's not insurrection.
It definitionally is. Read the text of the Section 3 of the 14th Amendment. Aiding and abetting is part of an insurrection. Yeah, there's no difference between committing an insurrection and aiding insurrection.
A person actively participating in an insurrection. Trump hasn't been convicted of insurrection.
You don't have to be convicted for the amendment, but we can convict him by just charging him with a crime. If you charge him with a crime, he's already pled and he's already been.
One at a time, please. Let Destiny. Hold on. Let Destiny finish his point, and then you can respond. Go
ahead. If he's pre-pardoned, then he's guilty. Then you just say charge him with it, have him be pardoned, nothing happens, then you bar him from running for office again.
Oh, okay. So Hunter, right now, because you're being consistent, you're just gonna go ahead and accept the fact that Hunter is guilty of FARA violations, tax violations, money laundering, and corruption on behalf of the Biden family, right?
Sure. Hunter Biden can never run for public office again. I'll be consistent on that.
Okay, that wasn't even the question. But the whole point is that I know that's bullshit because we've thought about this in the past. All you're doing is you're making a concession because the concession doesn't matter anymore. So what's actually going on here is you're saying that we should bar probably a sixth of the country from participating in politics once again.
And I keep saying, I said elected officials. No, wait, you keep saying a sixth. I'm saying elected officials right now.
Saying that elected officials should never have participated within like the cult of Trump or MAGA politics.
True. Yeah.
100%. This feels just a little bit sorry, and I think this is a little bit different from the place that we started at, because you were saying Nuremberg trials, but these don't sound like trials. Like these do sound like if you're part of the admin, you're guilty. But I don't know if that's a trial.
Well, if they're going to pre-pardon, if they're pre-pardoning, then we can't have a trial. Now, if they don't pre-pardon, so then we can try them all for insurrection. Fuck it.
Sure. Okay. So what? Let's go.
Okay. Yeah. Actually, let's say that they don't pre-pardon him. What's your evidence that they're engaged in insurrection?
I don't know. We'd have to figure out what the historical definition of insurrection is, and then I guess we would dig up all the evidence. We do our discovery like a normal trial, and you find everything, and you'd go through other emails, you go through other phone calls, and see if they were knowingly violating the law.
This case would fall flat on its fucking face.
Would it be politically popular? I'm not denying that, of course. It would be politically unpopular, yeah.
Okay, so so what you're saying is you're making a moral statement that 1/6 of political representatives, or actually it would be a quarter because these are elected people. 1/4 of elected representatives should be prohibited from participating in politics.
Yep.
Okay. What if we do these trials? What if there's no pre-pardoning? Marco Rubio gets put on trial and he's found innocent. Like I don't know if I understand even your hypothetical.
He beats his trial, but at least all the evidence will be out there.
Okay, sure. So then I don't know. So, sure, yeah, I agree with that.
Here's the question for the opposite
but
side.
I don't agree with this.
Wait. Okay, question for the other side. Let's say that there are no trials. Let's say that another Trump comes along. Why wouldn't you support him doing the exact same things he's done now, but worse?
What? Hold on. Sorry. Why
wouldn't you support the next Trump doing the same?
Doing the next.
No, not you. I'm not asking you. Elected politician comes about. There's the Trump 3 or whatever. The next Trump comes about. Why wouldn't you support him doing the exact same things that this Trump is doing, but even worse?
Not you.
You in a general sense. You being MAGA or anyone else.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So if I were MAGA, what is the disincentive from supporting Trump 3 if Trump 3 was legally possible?
Aren't we incentivizing people to take advantage of the law here?
Ooh.
Without political consequences.
I've probably wrapped my head around the fact that I think that Trump's going down because he's an ephebophilic sex cultist. I would have to say that we would need to reinforce, actually, I think the political capital after Trump should be spent on reinforcing the guardrails around authorization of uses around military force. It should be put to reinforcing the guardrails around executive orders. It should be put to trying to get Congress to be more of like that Congresswoman said who just got installed, that it needs to be a co-equal branch of government. So I would actually
so just checking. So your check against the people, your check against the people who would support Trump, the next Trump. The people who are openly okay with breaking the law would be to make more laws?
Yeah.
Okay.
And
also, that would be effective. I think that would be that's entirely self-defeating.
In reference to breaking the law, we would have to get into the nitty-gritty of it. Because as an example, you said that Trump people have suffered no consequences. That's not true. All the January 6th insurrectionists were incarcerated. There were 1,500 people who had criminal charges.
And then they were pardoned.
Yeah, that has nothing to do with whether or not they suffered consequences. They still suffered consequences. If you want to put limits on the power of the pardon, then I'm all ears for a technocratic solution.
So, I guess my question is, if you're a Republican congressperson right now, why the fuck would you ever support guardrails against the pardoning power when, you could just be a George Santos? You know what I'm saying? You could just be breaking the law, and then Trump gets to pardon you. Why would you ever try to limit that authority?
Well, I mean, if you had principles, it's because you wouldn't want to see the republic die. And that's
Okay, great. That's okay. That's a benchmark the Republicans have not been able to clear.
Actually, I would say that Thomas Massey and MTG have actually
Okay,
stood on relatively strong
you've
political
got
ground.
maybe 5 you can point to. I agree with Massey. Okay, even though he's a fucking psycho, he's for sure a never Trumper. MTG has like the last 2 weeks out of her. I don't know how long she's been in power. 6 years. That seems too high. I don't know. MTG over the last 2 weeks has changed her tone. Okay, great.
Let's be clear real quick, because I don't want people to think I agree with that statement. MTG has not changed her tone. She's just following the political winds. Either she's become a never-Trumper. If she is, it's not because she's offended by the authoritarian moves that Trump has made. It's just because she sees the politics going in a different direction.
She's not part of the team anymore, so she's scorned. Sure, but you can do the right thing for the wrong reasons, and I don't really give a shit. Now we've moved the argument from but
all you pointed to was 4
people from voting to
let Counter finish.
We don't have idealistic candidates that could actually reinforce the guardrails of the republic. These are like totally separate arguments.
Well, to be clear, I didn't make that second argument. I don't know where that second weird argument comes from. Maybe Staxioms does, but I didn't make that argument.
Okay. Well, I think that like spending political capital on reinforcing our republic would be infinitely better spent than trying to wipe out 25% of elected representatives.
I have a question.
I find these equally feasible.
Yeah,
like the fact that Republicans would play ball to put back up guardrails that they have disassembled over the last 10 years. It seems equally viable than Stephen's
not going to help in that effort. What's not going to help in that effort is saying, "Oh yeah, if we ever do get power, we're coming for that ass. We're going to make sure."
Sorry, what's not going to help in that effort?
You mean like what Trump has been saying over and over and over again? He was able to win the election doing it. He's an elected piece of shit. He won the election.
This is whataboutism.
We're not arguing about. No, it's not whataboutism. It's this happened. Okay, you're saying that you'll never win an election doing this. Didn't Trump win 2 elections? If you ask him 3 elections doing this, wasn't his chance in the first election lock her up?
Ran a senile 90-year-old person with his brain leaking out of his fucking ears who couldn't do a debate.
That ran against him in 2016 when he was saying lock her up, we're coming for lock her up.
Wait. What's the point that you're trying to make? If you're trying to make the point
you're telling me that you're saying that if you act vindictive and evil, no one's going to want to vote for you. Trump ran on vindictiveness.
How do you explain the moderate winning in 2020 if everybody is like, so hungry for vindictiveness?
COVID probably had a lot to do with it.
Yeah, COVID probably did have a lot to do with it.
Wait, hold on.
I'm not done yet. Thank you. You know what had a lot to do with 2024 Trump's win?
Your mom?
Democratic incompetence. Democrats seem uniquely capable of snatching defeat from the jaws of victory.
Why the fuck are we talking about the general when we should be talking about the primary? Trump won the Republican majority.
Okay, Trump won. He did. Okay, in the initial primary, 16-1, okay, like the original primary. In the original
No, I was saying in 2020.
He won a plurality because all the moderates wouldn't fucking drop out.
No, Trump was the most popular candidate to emerge from
by
the primary.
End of the cycle. But I guarantee you that there was like probably 80% of the way through, 90% of the way through, he was still sitting at 37 or 39%. And
there's no guarantee that if Cruz or Rubio drop out.
If the Republicans did to Donald Trump what the Democrats did to Bernie Sanders, we wouldn't have this problem. But at the same time, they didn't, and we can't cry over it.
Hold on. You're making your argument for us because all you're pointing to is that you don't actually need broad political support in order to push a candidate through.
Well, I have no idea what that has to do with anything I've said.
You owned him. Mogged.
I'm not being sarcastic. I feel like
I don't. So,
I want to give it. Hold on. I have a question. Then I want to give it to Prime. My question though is if Staxioms and Destiny, you both acknowledge that this would be politically unviable. Like there would be no political will for this. This would be very unpopular. It just wouldn't be an electoral winner. Why would you think that advocating for this publicly would make it more likely that you are going to win in the future if you've already acknowledged that this is politically cancerous of a position? Why the hell would you ever take this position publicly?
Because you got to fight for the things that you believe in to move the public in that direction, like our fucking God Emperor Gavin Newsom did with Prop 50. What a king.
Hell fucking yeah.
See, dude,
what drove Prop 50 was Texas.
Seriously, but not literally.
And Republicans. But anyway, go ahead,
What was the response to Republican
Yes, it was. Yes, exactly. It was response to Republican overreach, right?
And
so when
Republican lawlessness,
when the Republicans point to saying, "Oh, Democrats, public Democratic influencers want to bar all of their opposing all Republicans from office," right? They're going to use that to justify people doing some pretty crazy shit on their side. And
like what? Like the president of the United States coming out and saying some congressman should be executed? Like that kind of crazy shit?
Do you think it's gonna? Do you think it could? Do you think it can't get worse?
Yeah, but
I don't know how often.
But I mean, like, hold on, it can always get worse. That's the reason why you take dramatic corrective action right now.
Okay, right now, if we're not able to impeach Donald Trump based off of what he's saying right now, what makes you think? Like, okay, so you made the point that you're arguing to move people more in your direction. Okay. What I'm saying is, not only are you wasting your political capital now, and you're probably making discourse worse now, but the jumping over the bar would be trying to impeach Donald Trump now, and we're nowhere fucking near that. We're not even close. So I don't even know what
we
the fuck
can't impeach him now. But my strategy would have all those current Republicans that are unwilling to impeach him. They wouldn't even be in office in the future. So.
Go ahead, Primecayes. I knew you wanted.
I keep trying to wrap around my head around this fact that effectively you're not trying to eliminate the voter base, if I heard you correct. You're not necessarily trying to eliminate the Republican Party. You're trying to, through effectively, in my opinion, trumping up charges of insurrection for anybody supportive of the Trump administration. You're trying to disallow 25% of the representatives of the United States from office.
Based.
So, one, what about first-term Trump supporters, right? It's 2016.
They changed
Trump...
their mind? Oh, then they're good now. They changed their mind between Trump and Trump.
Okay, so now we've changed their minds. Okay, great. I'm glad we have that. I guess that's...
What if they change their mind in
2027? Yeah.
No.
Okay.
It's too late.
When's the cutoff date? Right? Was it? And I'm honestly asking this.
Cutoff date? Cutoff date was January 20th when Biden came into office.
When Biden came into office. Okay.
It was January 7th, 2021 or 2021.
Okay, right.
The day I guess you have to look at your hands and see the blood on them.
So I have. Okay. I have a problem with what Destiny is proposing, right? And I'm guessing there's a lot of room for agreement for whatever Staxioms is proposing.
Yeah, I mean, okay? Look.
So, hold on, 1 second. No worries. So my issue with what Steven is saying is that there's no exit ramp, right? Like, this sounds to me like purging the Ba'athist Party, right? And there won't be any repercussions from that, right? We'll just get rid of them. But these people don't go away, right? And in fact, them and their supporters are well armed. 1 second. So what we're saying is that we're going to take a maximalist position, not just against the ringleaders, which I can agree with. Like, I believe that I imagine that Staxiom's position, right? Hey, let's have an accountability for the people who are in charge, right? But everyone down the rung, right, in terms of elected office, right? Yes, you aren't talking about arresting Republican voters, true, right? But Republican voters are going to take it as a defense, as this is everything that they've always feared, right? That the Democrats are finally coming for them, and now we have to take action, right? That is like the clearest clarion call for violence I've ever seen.
Okay, awesome. Then we go to that stage if that's what they want. If that's how they feel.
Okay,
dude, that's so fucking dumb. Like 9.9 times out of 10, liberals would lose a civil war. That's like the fucking stupidest shit I've ever heard.
What?
Seriously? Okay, so a quarter of the population gets disbarred because we're still in the political toxicity. Or a quarter of the representatives get disbarred. They use that as a clarion call in order to rally the troops, saying, left-wing authoritarianism has finally come to America. Obama is, in the Jade Helm bunker about to launch nukes and 5G internet and all that bullshit. They get hundreds of thousands of motherfuckers to walk on Congress, and then boom, we're in an actual shooting civil war. You think liberals win that? What the fuck are we talking?
Oh, we have
about?
all like the gang committing people with the pistols, and aren't Republicans like fat and
They're
dying,
not
and they're
very
larger
accurate.
targets anyway?
They're not particularly good shooters. Sorry to the blacks.
Well, excuse me. All of our trans Tifa, trans furry people seem to be quite adept shooters. If I recall recent history correctly, so
0.6% of the population.
So
what you're gonna have trans Tifa snipers?
Can I just?
I'm gonna ask you one last thing. Now I'll still do Saxon the promise, right? I just and I apologize because I keep interrupting you, but like, Destiny, my problem is like there is no path within your framework that you're presenting for reintegration. Because that's how you actually heal a divided society, right?
We thought that after Reconstruction, and I think it was a mistake. The idea that we need to massively, like Germany didn't do that, and I think they've had a much better run with their Nazi issue than we've had with our, racial xenophobic issue. I think there is a reason why you need to have an accurate accounting process for what's happened, and the idea that everybody's allowed to come back scot-free. There's a reason why you don't run any type of disciplinary action or program like this.
I'm not disagreeing with an accounting process, right? That actually should happen. If that's what you're talking about, great, right? But the way you're formatting this is that this accounting process means just a blanket accusation against anyone with an R on their name, right? That's the problem in terms of the elected officials, right? And they all support Trump.
Almost all of them. I mean, it sucks, but this is my country. It's kind of how it works. You shouldn't support fascism.
I know. Hold on. I get the moral outrage. I'm morally outraged against those people, right? But I'm talking about in terms of a practical and a practical sense, right? That the way to actually heal this country would be that we do that accounting, right? Especially at the top layer, right? We prosecute a Trump figure or Marco Rubio or Pete Hegseth, right? We go after those individuals. But for the rest, all right, and maybe some other people a little further down. But for the rest, you have to give them a way to get on board, right? To understand, okay, this was bad, right? I apologize. I admit my mistakes, but I don't necessarily have to go to prison for that, right? And that invites you.
I'm not talking about prison, to be clear. I'm just talking about people being disbarred from running for office again. If you have a different set of consequences, you can be some. Maybe I agree with them. I don't know.
I have a historical question, just because we're talking about Nuremberg. I do know that there were only like 150 officials that were charged. If you were just like a Nazi soldier, were you barred from running for office?
I believe so. I believe anyone who was involved in the regime.
Ask Grok.
Okay.
Well, don't ask Grok. I'm sorry.
Yeah, don't ask Grok. Yeah.
I could be wrong though. So, but yeah, I believe that everyone involved in the regime.
I think the one thing that is like I definitely agree with
until they recanted and repented. The process.
I definitely agree with a pretty severe accounting process, but I definitely disagree with Connor where he's specifically saying that like if this occurs, we're going to have like a civil war on our hands. I think this is such a cult of personality that the moment that Trump steps down, there's not going to be this sort of rallying cry that's centralized in any sort of way. But yeah, I definitely think that a blanket.
Wait a minute, would Trump? But will Trump will we even bother for trial with him? Because if all that Stephen is asking for, he can't run for office again. But he can't run for office again. Well, he's already done his 2 terms, right? He's not going to do a 3rd term. Why even bother for trial for Trump?
Well, Trump would be charged with different things. His entire family's wealth would be expropriated from him and given to the United States of America. All of his family would be stripped of all their businesses, all their assets, and then they can go rebuild their shit in Russia, wherever the fuck. They can do it in the United States of America too, but every single thing would be taken from that family, 100%.
Listen, I don't even think this is a real conversation. I think what's going on is Stephen, similar to Newsom, is plotting out an extreme position. And then he's watching Prime in Staxioms, who are trying to steelman his position, sprinting over to him, being like, Daddy Stephen, can we do Nuremberg, but maybe not as extreme as what you're talking about? Can we just like, instead of incarcerating them and disappropriating them of property, could we just like, maybe bar them from office? Okay, maybe we could do this, maybe we could do that. No, fuck your extreme position. Your extreme position is bullshit. Staxiom and Primecayes trying to find a sensible like version of your thing. It's a waste of time and energy. And this is part of what I'm saying is like all you're really doing is, because I have like a few MAGA people in my chat, all you're doing is the MAGA people are like, oh, this is who we knew. We knew Stephen was like this the whole time. We knew that he was a left-wing authoritarian communist dick sucker who was gunning for us. Like, dude, that all you're doing is you're giving red meat to the people that already hate you. That's all you've done.
I don't know how not to give red meat to those people, though.
You can't, because it's a trap they've said that Connor keeps falling into over and over again. It's where somebody's beating the shit out of you over and over and over again, and you go, I'm beating this guy because he's violent. I'm beating this guy because he's violent. I'm beating this guy. And then as soon as he hits back, he's like, look, see, I told you. And then all the other people around are like, wow, you're playing right into that dude's rhetoric. I noticed. So when you hit him back, like you're playing right into that guy's rhetoric.
Speaking the truth is never a trap. Okay. And by the way, like the reason why MAGA is being hoisted by its own petard is because it's done what you did, but it's painted itself into a corner. Okay. It has taken the base and shaken them by the shoulders for decades, that you've mentioned as well. Rush Limbaugh is arguably the beginning of this. And they've taken them by the shoulders and they've shaken and screamed in their face. The elites are all pedophiles. They're all monsters. You're being run by the globalists, the international globalist, post-racial, progressive, communist, Leninist, whatever things. They're all going to kill you. And what's happened is they've radicalized their base to the point that now, yes, they have power. But now they're turning into the leopards eating faces party. Well, at least the leopard is not going to eat my own face. Donald Trump was forced to, against his will, release the Epstein files because his own party turned against him in reference to it. So once again, you're trying to charge.
I don't understand what argument you're trying to.
We got temporary electoral power.
I don't know what
shit.
I don't know what argument. What argument are you trying to make here right now? I don't know what argument you're trying to make.
The argument that I'm trying to make is that you are trying, for some reason, on the verge of Donald Trump being politically irrelevant within a year, you're arguing that you should adopt and mirror Trump's rhetoric and political positions. It's fucking stupid as shit.
Because the issue you're running into is you're viewing Trump as a single moment, a single discrete moment in time.
No, I'm not. That's what I'm saying. We should spend our political capital on the things that cause
let Destiny finish, then you can respond. Go ahead.
Trump. Yeah, but Trump is also, one of the things that caused Trump is the fact that there is no accountability for conservative derangement. And there's never been accountability for conservative derangement, so they'll continue to be deranged. You keep saying that, like, well, we need to let people back. You don't want to prove them right. Prove them right about what? They say the exact same things that I say when they're talking to themselves. And then when they come to the liberals, they're like, oh, you guys can't do that because it would be horrible. And then they go and they do the horrible things. The difference is, for some reason, you believe them when they criticize the liberals, but you're not listening to them when they're giving strategy to their own political operatives.
Okay, so hold on. Let's say that you win this rhetorical game, okay? Is the remainder of American politics for the next 10 years until the entire republic collapses is effectively like a tit-for-tat race to the bottom between extreme lefties and extreme rightoids? Because effectively what I see
tit-for-tat is not a race. Don't ask me a question, then answer it. You can answer after. You asked me a question. No, you're about to give your answer to the question.
I'm not done yet. Thank you.
Let him finish and you can really answer, Destiny, I promise.
What I see on the left right now is I see like I've said, I've mentioned the four things that I think PF Young is right about that are causing people to crave political radicalism. And I see liberals in their desperation to go after Trump, normalizing socialists and normalizing communists. And you are rhetorically paving the way through which they can use extremist rhetoric in order to seize power. Who's to say that the next Trump is going to be right wing? It could be some left wing fucking socialist degenerate piece of shit. So why the fuck would we make that path easier?
What was the question? I don't remember the question. What was the beginning part of this before you did this whole swear around and all this shit?
Why? In 1 year, we're going to hit the midterms. It's probably going to be a Democrat sweep.
Oh, I remember. You were saying that I'm doing a race to the bottom. We've been racing to the bottom, led by the Republican Party. Saying that if you do fuck shit, there are going to be consequences. It's not a race for a bottom. It's stopping the race to the bottom. Tit for tat is not a thing where you constantly go back and forth punishing each other. It's where you avoid
crimes that they're not even guilty of.
I do. I think they've committed insurrection. I think you can make the argument for it.
No. Insurrection means that you're trying to interrupt a governmental process through like violence or whatever. The people who are MAGA who support Trump, they might support a person who engaged in insurrection, but they themselves are not insurrectionists.
Supporting an insurrectionist is engaging in insurrection.
They are not guilty.
Supporting an insurrectionist is in and of itself definitely engaging in insurrection. That's what it means. If you're supporting somebody in a rebellion,
the 14th Amendment, go ahead and read me it.
Read the text. It says, or somebody who's aided the enemies thereof.
Aided the enemies thereof.
That has a very specific meaning.
If somebody legitimately believes in the MAGA bullshit, which I don't, by the way, but if they legitimately believe it, and they are supporting Donald Trump.
Section 3 says, no person should be a senator, representative, blah, 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 blah. So the ending part of this is, to support the Constitution of the United States, shall have engaged in insurrection or rebellion against the same, or given aid or comfort to the enemies thereof. It's the same thing. Whether you're supporting them or whether you're doing it yourself, it's considered the same.
Donald Trump hasn't been convicted of insurrection, and they're
charging for it. There you go. That's the trial. Boom.
You're going to make it a crime and convict people of a crime for supporting someone who is the active president of the United States, but also of the leader of their caucus, the leader of their party.
Sorry, do you believe that you should always unequivocally support the leader of your party just because he has the letter R or D next to his name?
Of course not. That's like pretty much.
Why did you just give that as an excuse then? Why is that your defense then? You're going to charge this guy? You think this guy's bad just because he supports his leader?
They believe in MAGA. They're dumb. They're
that's fine. And those people are enemies to my country. That's fine. And there are people that are legitimate communists and legitimate fucking Nazis. Why the fuck would I care about what they think? I'm an American and I believe in the American Constitution. Why the fuck would I care about somebody who doesn't believe in the American Constitution? What a stupid fucking argument.
By saying that you are going to engage in the race to the bottom, I think you are paving the way.
It's not a race to the bottom. How is it a race to the bottom? It's holding people accountable for breaking the law and for encouraging and supporting people who break the law.
But you have already said earlier in this conversation that you're effectively comfortable with fucking convicting these people of a crime that they have not committed. We do not agree that these people have committed the crime. And not only that,
and see if they beat the case.
Entire paradigm. Not only that, but I'm accepting this entire paradigm that what you're proposing is even possible.
Okay, Connor, wait,
see if they beat the case. Go ahead, sorry.
Go ahead, Staxioms,
Connor,
please.
I got a question. What would you do about specific Trump officials? Like, let's just use like Pam Bondi as an example, who has at multiple times skirted court orders.
Okay, so
very harsh words. Very harsh.
Is it? What?
Sorry.
What I would need is so for instance, like let's get into specifics. Kilmar Abrego Garcia. Okay.
Yeah.
The Justice Department slow walked / resisted a lower court order in order to return Kilmar Abrego Garcia, and they fought over the word of facilitate, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then they dragged it out for 90 to 120 days or whatever, and then they brought him back for some kind of criminal processing. I don't even know what it was. You would have to show me a crime that Pam Bondi or a Trump representative actually committed that is indictable and convictable. Because as far as I know, slow walking a court order is actually not a crime until you reach contempt.
Okay. What about? Sorry, just let me check here.
Just to jump past like hypotheticals,
mm-hmm.
you need to show me a convictable crime. So, as an example, with the drone striking civilian ships in the Caribbean, I think that's quite possibly a war crime. I think it might be a violation.
Hegseth is liable.
I think Hegseth is potentially liable. Absolutely.
So he should be convicted of a crime after.
But you need to figure out what it is, and you also need to process through a court. Because, for instance, like I'm pretty sure what is it? Article 2, the roles and responsibilities of the presidency. I fucking forget which article is which article. But the point is that the president does have broad discretion when it comes to national security matters and when it comes to like declaring emergencies and responding to emergencies. But the question is, he directed his Secretary of War to take military action against narco terrorists. So you effectively would have to go to a court and argue like, what's the definition of a narco terrorist? Who has the ability to even declare what a narco terrorist organization is? Are you able to use lethal force just for drug trafficking? You would have to figure all this shit out. And I wouldn't spend the political capital on this for the next 2 years or 4 years.
But all you're describing is the process is like you're saying that it wouldn't be politically.
It would be moral to go after the Trump administration. But by the way, the time to do that wouldn't be after Trump's out of office. The time to do that would be now.
Well, we are taking them to like there's multiple lawsuits going on right now with the Trump administration. I don't understand.
Okay,
also we can't do it now because we don't control the we can't do it.
Caribbean boats.
We can't do it right now because we don't have the Department of Justice to charge or investigate these crimes. It's owned by Trump.
Again, now we're kind of getting into the nitty gritty or whatever. I don't understand how Congress has oversight and yet has no ability to oversee or affect any executive action whatsoever.
Congress can't charge crimes. They can make recommendations to the DOJ,
sure,
but they obviously shit all over that.
But if we're currently blowing up boats, then shouldn't, I don't know, Democratic senators, like this is the one that we bumped onto that's probably the most obvious. Okay, so let's stick with this for a second. This is the most obvious one. How come I'm not seeing AOC, Chuck Schumer, Hakeem Jeffries, or any of these people stepping up into Congress right now and saying, we're engaged in a unilateral, illegal, extra-constitutional, murderous campaign against civilians in the Caribbean. And regardless of whether or not these people are drug traffickers, this is like a breach of federal authority, and we need to do oversight immediately.
Well, hold on.
People literally been saying
Stephen, do you
I
agree? Stephen, do you agree that bombing those boats, that would be one of the things you would charge Trump with, like bombing the Venezuelan boats? Like, what are the crimes?
You wouldn't be charged as like a war crime because this is a Rome statute stuff. We're not a signatory to the ICC. I would charge you as fucking murder.
You charge him with murder. Okay, all right. Even though he didn't actually commit it, you're saying that like
okay, sorry, conspiracy to commit murder.
Conspiracy to commit murder. Okay, I'm just
Okay,
trying
actually,
to
I'll
understand
put that back to
what's
Staxioms.
included.
So Staxioms, do you think Pete Hegseth should be charged with murder when the Trump admin is done?
Murder seems. I don't know it specifically. Look, I'm not a fucking lawyer. I don't know what specific crime he should be committed with, but I do know that. I've got a quote here. He said about the Venezuelan strikes that he has absolute and complete authority based off of the defense of the American people alone and refused justification. Like,
I mean,
I definitely think that there's something convictable in there. I don't know what specifically that crime would be.
Okay, so if we were still entertaining Stephen's hypothetical, then since the Department of Justice can't charge anybody, let's say that we have a Democratic administration next. But it's like, Stephen, it sounds to me like this, you should support this logically. So Democratic administration comes in. They shouldn't attack affordability. They shouldn't attack the economy. They shouldn't attack, existential technological shifts. They shouldn't tackle immigration. What they should do is they should spend probably the entirety of their first term going through the entirety of the Trump administration, looking for convictable crimes, and then trying to convict all subordinate admin officials of the Trump administration.
They could do both at the same time.
I don't have faith that they could, but I don't know if we need to open that up on a can.
I don't think
multiple investigations can occur at one time.
No, I'm sure that they could conduct multiple investigations. I'm just saying that the amount of political capital that you would need in order to convict, so for instance, Pete Hegseth's logical defense would be, I'm the Secretary of War, the Secretary of Defense. There's an immediate threat to death of great bodily harm to American citizens. The president is within my direct chain of command. I'm acting within my direct chain of command, and I'm taking out an existential threat to American citizens. That's part of my purview as the Secretary of Defense. So then you would have to convince a jury or Congress that Pete Hegseth was in the wrong for following orders from Donald Trump in order to take out the Caribbean boats. And then you would have to say, this is worthy of him no longer being able to be in politics, or it would be worthy of incarceration. I think you would bleed a shitload of political capital trying to make that happen.
Let's proffer a hypothetical here. Let's just say, for the sake of conversation, that in 2028, Trump basically disappears. He flees America. Massive blue wave, like 80-20 split kind of thing. Like Texas goes full blue. We have so much political capital. Do you think that we should leverage it in this way? Like, let's just say we do have the political capital.
If we were working in an ideal, let's say that it was like a perfect political environment and we could do this without burning political capital and we could deal with all the things that we were talking about, then yeah, sure. I would love to bar Marco Rubio from politics for being complicit in the indirect deaths of probably hundreds of thousands or millions of people.
Specifically, what you're not saying, though, but you're not saying that we would also just get rid of the rest of the Republican Party, right? Like that. Well, right. You're talking about the upper echelons.
Well, and the reason why this actually goes back to as far as like ancient Rome, by the way, apotheosis. It's where the emperor, when he dies, he ascends to godhood or whatever. It's why Gerald Ford forgave Nixon or pardoned Nixon or whatever. The reason why you don't go after the previous administration is because somebody could go after you. Arguably, based off of this logic, if the Republicans get back into office, they can charge Obama for murder for Anwar al-Awlaki.
Yeah, so
it's interesting.
You've been talking. I'm going to jump in.
Bush for lying about WMDs.
Yeah, thank you for that. Hold on. Sorry.
Yeah, actually, Prime's good with all of this, by the way.
Oh, yeah. Hold on.
Go ahead, Prime, please.
Yeah, thank you. So thank you for that jumping off point. First of all, previously, Counterpoints, you said that I was trying to make Steven's points reasonable. I'm not. Steven's points is fucking ridiculous, right? That being said, what we both agree on, what you just agreed on, is the thing that I was saying previously, is that we should have accountability, right? Especially for those in charge, right? Now, how far down exactly down the rung we should go, right? That's up for debate, right? What Steven's idea, Steven's presenting a dumb fuck idea. But still, that's not even my biggest problem with Steven, right? That's something I have yet to elucidate, but you were just touching on. So, right, my issue is that I don't think Steven here is actually being consistent, right? Because he's a partisan hack. So, Steven, I'm going to ask you, hey, should we also go back through the Democratic administrations and then charge presidents with crimes?
I'm gonna get some water.
I don't know which crimes.
Which crimes? Yes, conspiracy to commit murder, right? So you can give an order.
Which one?
Yeah, sure, Joe Biden. Yeah, Joe Biden, right? Joe
What
Biden.
murder would you say that? What murder
the Gazans, right? Providing weapons, right, to slaughter civilians. What about that?
No.
No. Oh, no. We don't do that. No. Okay, those deaths, those are okay, right? Why are those okay?
It's not that they're okay. It's that there's
No, I'm not talking. What's that say? Well, no, I'm not talking to you, Steven. Right? You have the problem with Staxioms. You have a different idea, right? And I think you're completely reasonable. But Steven, why not?
Because it's a military conflict. It's an ongoing military conflict.
Oh, it's a military conflict now, right? The Trump administration is assembling one of the biggest naval forces we ever have in the Caribbean, right? They're going to take military actions. They're gonna declare that the narco terrorists, right, are working with Maduro, and then that makes it, because now they have state backing. That's a military action, and so why not? Like, why would
if we had declared war with Venezuela, then I wouldn't be saying that these are murders. Because
did we declare war against Hamas?
No, but Israel did. No. They're engaged in a fight with Hamas.
So Israel does. Okay, so when a foreign country does that, wipes our hands clean. So we don't have to even do that, right? But we could just still say that when a foreign nation...
I never said it wipes our hands clean. I said that for the purposes of saying the president of the United States is engaged in murder.
Clean. Oh, okay, great. So
it's not about being. We're not talking about being clean or not. We're talking about whether or not somebody is engaged in the act of murder, right? Which is the unjustified killing of a person.
Conspiracy? No.
Conspiracy to commit murder would be like the plan to kill a person.
Yeah, okay, yeah. And the plan was to use those bombs to drop them on civilians. What about that, Stephen?
I don't know if that is necessarily what the plan was, but I don't know if you would charge somebody for selling a gun.
I just want to be clear that I don't want this to become Israel-Palestine.
Stephen, what do you think the bombs are for?
For military conflict?
Oh, okay, yeah, okay. So you can see how he's trying to come up with like levels of separation here to say, well, now that doesn't matter when it comes to when it's my leader that I agree with, right? That I dick suck. Well, then, of course, he wouldn't have to face the same charges. What about Obama, right? Like our friend.
Well, to be clear, for the thing, there's a difference between two parties that are actively engaged in a military conflict. One at a time, bombing people in the middle of the ocean, right? Do you acknowledge these are two separate things?
Sorry,
do you acknowledge that killing civilians in the middle of the ocean directly with your own military against a country that you're not at war with, that's a significantly different thing than selling weapons to another country at war?
Well, technically, we weren't at war with Yemen either.
We weren't at war. Yeah, we weren't at war.
We're not talking about Yemen right now, but we have the use of authorization for the military force that covers, I believe, the entire Middle East. But regardless of the Yemen stuff, I'm saying you acknowledge there's a difference between killing foreign nationals in the middle of an ocean with your military. There's a difference between that and selling weapons to another country.
There would be it would be a difference if that other country was at peace, right? And then you sold them weapons, and then later on they happened to be used for something nefarious. No, there was an active military conflict. We were deeply involved in it, and then
do you recognize there's a difference between selling a country weapons versus killing another
we can say
those
are two different things, but are they significant enough? No, they're not significant enough to be different, right? And so, like, I get that you desperately need to draw that line, right? So then,
to be clear, I'm not desperate. You're flailing right now. You're flailing right now.
Your boy Joe Biden won't actually be prosecuted. But again, we can even change it, right? So again, Obama, right, bombing or assassinating Anwar al-Awlaki. Can we charge him? No. Oh, once again. Okay. So now we're having a direct military action by
What would you charge him with?
conspiracy
I
to
mean,
commit
you
murder.
could charge Obama, and you could probably charge Eric.
No, you wouldn't
Holder
charge.
with murder.
You wouldn't charge either one. You would look at the intention behind the action. So Obama claims that he's doing Obama claims he's not just murdering somebody, that he's doing a military action. Well, what were the actions that he took around the time? Did he try to hide this? Did he try to do things that he knew was illegal? No, he went to his Department of Justice. He went to Eric Holder. He sought his legal advice. No, but Trump and the administration are openly Trump and the administration are openly defiant of the law. They claim that all the judges are rigged. They don't try to figure out if the things they're doing in advance are legal or not legal. They're explicitly and openly saying
they have
I don't believe the law. I'm not going to fall.
A bullshit DOJ memo, right? That's saying, it's all legal. No worries, military, right? The things that you're doing is fine.
That's what I was going to say.
Do you think that the memos that are coming from the
the dividing line here is that some sort of legality, right? Or some sort of legal justification, because all presidents say they have legal justifications to do everything they do.
So do you think that all presidents seek the same, they are, in good faith, are seeking the same level of affirmation? It doesn't matter if it's good faith
or not. When they're presenting this, right?
It doesn't matter if you're trying to figure out if your actions are legal or not. What do you think a crime is? What do you think a key element of committing a crime is? Is the criminal state of mind?
Okay. So Prime, please let me tag in just for a second, okay? The reason why Abdul Rahman al-Awlaki and Anwar al-Awlaki is in more gray area than you might want to concede it for is because they're United States citizens, and there's a huge argument about geography and also whether or not like assisting a terrorist organization precludes you from due process. There's actually an argument there. And Eric,
that's
Holder,
fine, but the thing that I'm not done yet. God, okay. I know, but everything you're about to say is irrelevant. But go ahead.
Oh, let him say it. Hold on, let him say it, and then
it's all irrelevant.
Thank you. Okay, I will. Thank you. The reason why it's irrelevant is because what you're about to give is an argument that challenges the legality of the U.S. president to assassinate essentially American citizens of other countries, which is a fair argument. But none of that gets you any closer to saying Obama committed murder.
Wait, hold on. Obama went to Eric Holder. Eric Holder said, "Yeah, we're probably good." That was it. And then they drone striked Anwar al-Awlaki, and they drone strike for Abdul Rahman, by the way. They were drone striking somebody else, and then they just accidentally killed a 16-year-old US citizen. So like that's fine. Like for me, I don't give a sorry, Prime, I'm gonna betray you a little bit.
Right.
I don't give a fuck about Anwar al-Awlaki. I don't give a fuck about Abdul Rahman. What I'm trying to point out to you, though, is that once you open up this can of worms of, well, this admin was uniquely bad according to my perspective, therefore we're going to go after all you motherfuckers, then at that point you're opening up the can of worms, not just for previous administrations, but for any future administrations.
Is there a fact of the matter that some administrations might be betraying the ideas or the laws of the U.S. Constitution more than other people, or is it all just like a whatever meme?
Of course, but one of the largest political scandals of the past 30 years is the fact that we have evidence for this. Donald Rumsfeld and Dick Cheney knowingly exaggerated evidence in order to justify the case for the war in Iraq that resulted in hundreds of thousands of dead people, tens of thousands of American dead, $2 trillion spent. So if there's something worth investigating to see whether or not there was criminality involved in, I would say that deserves a second look.
Sure, I wouldn't disagree with you at all on that.
Yeah, of course, no, because it's a Republican administration. Yeah, no, hold on. We can all say that yes, different administrations violate the law in different ways, right? I'm saying, hey, I'll be consistent. In any way that you violate the law, right, they'll be prosecuted. That's what I'm saying. Why can't you say the same thing?
You're drawing this equivalence between.
Let Staxioms finish. Let Staxioms get in here. Let Staxioms get in here a second. Finish your point, then you can respond, Prime. I promise. Go ahead, Staxioms.
You're trying to point to Democratic politicians and Republican politicians like there's some sort of equivalence here, but we're talking about the Iraq War.
I am not okay. So Staxioms, I know exactly what you're going to say already. That's why I didn't bother waiting to listen. No, I'm not drawing equivalence here. I literally just said, hey, there are differences. Just now, when you jumped in, I just said, hey, there are differences in how different administrations violate the law. Right? We take that into account, and in any way that you violated the law, that's what you'll be prosecuted for. Right? So it doesn't matter. Right? So yes, in big ways in which you lied to the American people, you make up evidence, and you draw draw us into a massive forever war, yeah, you'll be prosecuted for that. And then smaller ways, assassinating American citizens without proper authorization, yeah, you'll be prosecuted for that too. I prosecute all of them for everything. Right? So my position is that you terrify past presidents to keep future presidents in line, right? Destiny was trying to sniff at that argument, right? He was pointing at that argument, but he only meant for Democrats. That's the secret thing, right? They were saying under his breath, right? So when Democrats supported genocide, well, that's okay, right? When Democrats assassinate Americans abroad, well, that's okay, right? But when a Republican comes into office, oh, okay, well, that's the thing we have to be afraid of, right? That's when the lawyers get their subpoenas out.
Yeah, but there's several degrees of indirectness when it comes to Biden's involvement in Israel. Even if
I'm
we're
more
saying,
so great. I'm more
even if
Well,
we're saying,
let Staxions finish,
more
please.
allowed-
Let Staxions finish his
okay, well, we
argument.
can look
Go
at
ahead.
Obama or Biden specifically, but Obama's in murky territory and Biden's in murky territory. But Bush and Trump, it's pretty clear cut.
Why? No,
Why is
hold on.
Obama-
Well, you don't have to give me Bush and Trump. You don't have to bring that up because I am going to prosecute them in my utopia, right?
No, but I'm justifying why I am going to be harsher towards the Republicans.
Okay. I want to draw this back. I want to draw this back to the matter at hand of what do Democrats do with MAGA once they get into power. I want to bring this back to the topic at hand.
Are you trying to reframe it when there's a genocide going on? Wick, you fucking idiot.
Is the matter at hand, right? So we're talking about, hey, like, you're saying that there should be a legal process, Wick, right? You're saying, we're asking, should there be a legal process to deal with the crimes of the previous administration, right? Like, should we normalize that? I say yes. I've already agreed to that. Okay, great, right? Now, like, if this is going to be a process, and if it's going to be something that is respected, right? And seen as legitimate, that you would have to do it on both sides, or else it doesn't count. Destiny says, hey, this process will get us to the capital T truth about what has happened in the past, right? It has to be a public spectacle to do that, right? Well, then part of that should be accounting for every administration.
Tell you what,
right?
When the leftists get power, you can do that. But we're talking about realistic outcomes, and we're talking about the Democrats and the Republicans. The leftists are never getting power. If the leftists ever get power, we can have that discussion.
This whole topic's not realistic. But we know that. So we're already in fantasy, right? So if we're going to be in fantasy, and we're going to deal with Stephen's dumbass idea, right? Of prosecuting the Republican Party all the way down to fucking dog catcher, right? We're already there. And so I'm asking for a bit of consistency. I'm trying to point out the vast hypocrisy that is Stephen's entire political platform.
Okay, if you're asking for consistency, if there's any Democrat who's lied to the UN in order to bring us to war in the Middle East, I would happily impeach them too.
Oh, King.
Okay, yeah, great. I would too. I don't know what.
Great, awesome. We solved the problem.
Awesome.
You keep distracting. I don't know what you're doing here, right? I already agreed to that. I agree to that, right? I'm saying for lesser crimes, I'd also do that too. Hold on. What is the minimum?
But you
crime?
can't.
Let me ask Staxioms here. Okay, Staxioms, since you've been wanting to jump in and get some airtime. Staxioms, what is the minimum the maximum amount of crime, right, that a president can do and not be charged? Democrat or Republican?
This feels like
Mogged. You just got mogged, dude. Mogged.
True. I don't need to explain when specifically night turns into day to explain where day is and where night is. I know that Trump crossed the line. I don't know where the line is.
I know. Again, you keep trying to distract. Come on. You had a lot of airtime here.
Okay, hey, I don't know. The answer is I don't know where exactly the
great. So I do know.
Is.
Then I do know. Okay, great. Then I do know. I have an idea. So when I'm talking about murder, right? Yes, you've gone into the territory where you get charged, right? I've given a direct line. Nothing below murder. Okay, nothing below murder or conspiracy to commit murder, right? Nothing below that, right? So now that we've established that, great. Then I would say I would charge President Obama, right? And I would charge President Biden, right, for sending weapons to a country that his own State Department declared was committing war.
I love you, buddy. But we're gonna move on. And we're going to get to back to the topic at hand.
Well, yeah, man, Steven's been a coward there. No, look at Steven sitting there being a coward because he didn't actually want to engage with it. Because
it's just the
he knows there's nothing
continuing.
Wait, to be clear, there's nothing to engage with. There's nothing to engage with. We talk about culpable crimes. We talk about people who are acting within what they believe their legal authority is. There's a difference between people acting within what they believe their legal authority is versus people who are acting with flagrant disregard for legal authority. This administration, and it's provable. This is provable. The current administration
says that.
No, they don't. You can look. It's pretextual, and it's clearly pretextual. That's fine because you don't understand the law and you don't follow what they say. Okay, but they clearly say Donald Trump.
Let Destiny finish his point, please. Prime. Let
Destiny finish. The judges say we don't think that the judges are correct on this. They're all activists. We don't care what the judge says. We're going to do whatever we want anyway. They very clearly know, or if anything, they should know that you can't just kill citizens in South America without cause, and that's a totally okay thing to do. That's plainly obvious.
I want to give it to Counterpoints, hopefully to re-rail us. If he does not re-rail us, I will re-rail us forcibly and non-consensually, but go ahead.
I'll do it again. I
understand.
I'm going to put these guardrails up to the conversation.
Yeah, I will. I will have to do that.
Because fuck you, Steven.
So reinforce him.
Okay, so yeah, I'm trying to re-rail us. I'm going to reject that this is even a possibility. If we can't impeach Trump now, if the best thing we can do is have Democrats stand up in Congress and ineffectually say, oh, I really disagree with this. If that's all we can achieve right now, we're not getting shit after Trump's gone. I think it's a waste of time. I think it inflames maybe it's a marketing strategy. Maybe this is a marketing strategy to get Democrats psyched for the midterms or some shit. If you said it was a marketing strategy, then I would be like, oh, okay. Steven's just using hyperbolic language in order to get, libtards excited for the midterms. And I'd be like, all right, fuck it. That's just what Steven's doing. But you said to take you literally and seriously. And at this point, I'm going to say literally and seriously, it's a stupid fucking idea. The Democrats cannot walk and chew gum. They need to focus on not Trump. They need to focus on the material circumstances that caused Trump, which once again, I will assert is rapid demographic change, existential technological shifts, income inequality, and the dissolution of the social fabric. And if we don't deal with those,
so we can't charge Trump with crimes. We just need Democrats to solve fast technological change, solve demographic issues in the United States, solve the social fabric dissolving, and then solve whatever the other fourth existential problem is.
Yeah, if you weren't such a
why didn't they just fix every single fucking issue with society? That's great. Why did I think of that? Fuck me, dude. If you
weren't being a twat, then you could realize that these are things that are affecting radicalism on both sides of the political binary.
Yeah, but we can agree with that.
There are Republicans who are concerned about these things, who would be interested in coming up with solutions to these things.
Yeah, but I can point to a fucking
is supposed to be.
I can point to a crime and go, okay, but look at the poverty in the area. Look at all of these factors that go into the crime. We still prosecute individuals. Like, I don't understand this.
Yeah, but we've already acknowledged that the chances of you prosecuting a criminal in this regard is a snowball's chance in hell.
Okay, so let me ask you a question.
I'm addressing your point.
Let me ask you a question to Destiny and to Staxioms here. If you knew that engaging in this would absolutely lead to Democrats losing in 2026 and 2028, if this running on this platform, if you had a crystal ball and you knew 100% that even advocating for what you think is right is going to fail and it's going to cost you the election, would you still do it?
No, I would not.
Okay,
we know for a fact? No, you'd probably try to find some middle ground.
Okay, so what I'm telling you is we have a lot of evidence given the past and how it turned out when we tried to do this with Trump the first time, and how that again was a pretty big factor in leading to us losing, right?
I don't know how you could possibly say that, but also I don't know what you're talking about. What do you mean we didn't try it with Trump? We never got any federal charges.
We never got any federal charges, but not for lack of trying and not for lack of people investigating.
We didn't try. It was 2 years before the special counsel was appointed. We didn't try that hard.
Okay. I disagree with you, and I think that the public disagrees with you.
No, I would agree with Stephen here, right? That I would agree that there was massive Democratic incompetence, right, by Joe Biden, by Merrick Garland. Absolutely, 100%. I would agree with that, right? I would agree that they were engaging in what Stephen is trying to engage, right? Like in protection of the powerful. So they didn't actually want to charge him with anything, right? Like if they did, then they could have done it immediately, right? There was clear reason to do so, but they waited because until it was politically, at least they thought it was politically expedient, right? They waited till the end. And it was a disaster, right? It was a disaster because they ran out of time. But yes, they were protecting the powerful. They were extremely reluctant to do that. That case, even when there was their opponent.
Hold on. Do you think if they had been successful in prosecuting Trump federally, right, and they had sent him to jail, even, right? Like Trump is now in jail, okay, for all the January 6th crimes, insurrection, all these things. Do you think that Republicans would have won more or less in 2024?
Far less.
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 Yeah.
I think that is absolutely wrong. I think this would have been seen as feeding into their persecution narrative. It would have been given truth.
It's so crazy. Do you see how your position is? That literally any time you try to hold somebody accountable, they're like, you're feeding into their narrative.
Not any time, and not hold
anybody.
Not in any context.
Wait, then can somebody give me another thing then? I'm not like 100% bought into this has to be the penalty, but give me what your proposed penalty is then. What should the accountability look like for how conservatives have acted over the past 10 years?
Well, I think that... Oh, go ahead, Counterpoints.
You go first.
Oh, sure, I'll go first. I think that they're getting their accountability. We saw last Tuesday, on November 4th. I saw that was their accountability. Look, hey, hold on. Do you think politicians don't want to win? Do you think that politicians don't want to win elections?
I think they do want to win elections.
So, yes. So when the disincentive is, hey, if you behave in this manner, you won't win elections... Do you think
that they're losing
effective?
Because they're behaving in a particular manner, or because everything is going to shit and they're failing to
behaving in a particular? These things are correlated.
They're not.
You don't think that them behaving in the manner that they do is leading everything to go to shit? Their incompetence and their inability to govern is absolutely correlated with their level of corruption and malice.
You can argue that like the similar traits play into people that act, in similar ways, but it's not like Republicans are like, you know what? Abrego Garcia, that was fucked up. No, that's not happening, and that's what you need them to think. Just because things are going to shit because the president is incompetent as fuck doesn't mean that conservatives are going to look at the future and go, wow, we definitely shouldn't support an evil person again.
They're not going to think when you, again, have these trials, these Nuremberg trials for MAGA, that, oh, these are the crimes that Trump committed, and this is why they can't have power. They're going to think that the Democrats... Oh, you're just going to leave when I'm
listening.
Oh, okay. They're going to think that the Democrats are the ones who are persecuting their political enemies, and the voting base is going to vote accordingly. That's my point. Counterpoints, did you have a different?
Is it just lose the election? Then you have nothing. Then you can't do anything. They've insulated themselves.
Of course,
perfectly.
Again, there are things that you can do, but they should not be your focus.
What if public?
No, I got it. I think that if they don't let us prosecute them, then that means that they're evil Hitlers. So now they have to let us prosecute them. Otherwise, Wick, you're going to be saying, well, Destiny said you guys are evil Hitlers if you guys do that thing, and now that you're doing that thing, you're proving him right. Can I just say that?
Okay, you can, but what I say has historical basis and election results backing it. What you say has vibes and memes backing it. The November 4th election that just happened where moderates ran the fucking board, and the guy who had the rhetoric like you got, like, he performed the least well out of every single Democrat who won.
The least well?
Yeah,
you mean the guy
he got carried over the finish line. Jay Jones is who I'm talking about.
Killed, still won his election? King, okay? Number one. Number two, in terms of the Trump election, where is the evidence that, are you implying that the New York State convinctions that helped Trump, or that
yes,
all the
I think that helped Trump. I think that his mugshot. Yes, I think that helped Trump.
But I just want to be clear then. The rules that Wick are writing right now, Wick is saying that presidents should always break the law because if you ever try to hold them accountable, it's going to help them win the next election. I guess that's what you're saying.
I'm saying that I would rather win than have some kind of weird. This is what I want to be justice, but not actually get those justice either. Like in order to get justice, you have to win first. So my advocacy is about winning first. Once we win,
I agree with you.
Okay.
I agree with you.
But when you come out and you say that, hey, if we win, we're going to take away every single Republican, you're not going to win.
So you're fine with secretly.
Yeah. So Wick is saying he's fine with all of what
That's not what I'm saying.
Just as long as we lie
Wick.
about it, right? And then we
That's
surprise
not what I'm saying.
Nuremberg trials, right?
Look,
That's what we do.
you're just-
good.
I'm fucking with you, bro.
You,
But you
again,
can't admit it to your audience because then you're
No.
not saying it's
Yeah,
silent.
that's
because
not
you're
what I'm saying.
I'll
I
message
am.
you later, dude.
You know
Don't
what?
worry.
Well, actually, couldn't we do that? Well, hold on. I'm trying to think. What are the chances that you could have like a massive agenda that everybody's accusing you of doing, but then you deny it the entire time? And then when you get into elected office in 2025, you have this big project that you're trying to carry out all the plans of, even though you said that you knew nothing about it. Maybe this would be kind of crazy. Never mind.
Okay, counterpoints you wanted to get in earlier. Go ahead.
Sorry. So somebody in my chat, I think a DGGer, brings up an interesting point, which is maybe state level crimes as a way to circumvent blanket pardons. But then I don't know what state level crimes you would be accusing people of, that let alone that you would have sufficient evidence in order to obtain a conviction. I also still think that that would avoid the insurrection issue. And once again, I'm just going to say this for like the fourth time. I think y'all got a fistful of nothing. I think you have as a matter of fact, saying Republicans, if you don't let us prosecute you, you're gay. That probably would be more effective than what you guys are advocating.
I'm okay with that.
Because then the Republicans would be like, no, I'm not gay. You can prosecute Donald Trump. You can prosecute Pete Hegseth. I'm not gay. Like that that almost makes more sense than what you're saying.
If it works, it works.
Yeah, I'll do that. Sure.
Okay. But I'm just saying, like, we do realize that we are all 20 to 40-year-old adults here. The thing that you're arguing for.
What was Connor's answer to why won't Republicans act? Why won't Republicans act even more unhinged in the future if there's no accountability for what's happening now?
Well, okay, but I'm asking you a different question, which is effectively like you can't get the accountability that you're looking for.
You can try. You can get as close to it as possible.
Hold on. Trying and failing is worse than not trying. You understand that, right?
Well, I do understand that. But we're also talking about political.
I'm asking if
That feels
Steven
like a
understands that.
truism.
Destiny, do you
it
understand that?
depends.
If you try and you
Definitionally
fail,
not true.
it's
You
worse
can
than not
charge- you
trying,
can
correct?
No.
You don't think that's true?
You can get closer to perfect. Don't let perfection be the enemy of progress. There you go. See, I can do these two.
Okay, but
Okay,
here's the thing.
but-
The perfection that you want of prosecuting everyone who's ever done a crime for every single thing they do is the perfection that you're letting get in the way of actual progress here. So
Well, sure,
again,
maybe we only convict
if you
half of them.
try to convict them and you try this plan and then it doesn't work, what that does is that just sends an even stronger signal that they can get away with it even if you try to fight them.
So what if we don't charge them with anything? Why wouldn't they try to do the same thing?
Again, there are
you
already...
saying that Democrats shouldn't have impeached Trump before? Because they failed.
Hold on. I
That's a
think
great
that
question, actually.
impeaching Trump is different than what is being advocated for tonight.
Hold on, but you're saying if you
Hold on.
you're trying to.
I'm okay with impeaching Trump, even if it doesn't work. That's different than what's being
Why?
advocating here tonight.
Well,
You're
trying and
talking
failing
about-
is worse than actually
Not in every context.
Yeah.
The context changes the calculation.
Yeah, no, I know, I agree.
Okay.
Yeah,
So when you
sure,
try
hold on.
and
Why-
fail
why-
to
agree with that.
impeach
No, I
someone,
agree with that.
so if you try and fail to win an election, that's a lot different than trying and failing to
Sure, no,
bar
you're talking about
25% of the Republican Party for ever running from office.
Yeah, and I'm trying to. And hey. So these are apples to apples, okay, right? Impeaching Trump, right, or putting him through these trials, right, is a legal process, well, political/legal process for impeachment, in which, like, a formal process in which you present evidence and you get a group of individuals to decide if it was convincing enough to impose consequences. These are the same things, right? And they tried to do impeachment and they failed, right? And you're saying, well, that's okay. But like if you try to do a trial and they don't have the forethought to know that if it's going to work or not, then we shouldn't bother.
I think that you can look at the evidence that you would bring against, say, Marco Rubio, and that would be far, far weaker of a slate of evidence than you would have against someone like Trump. Do you disagree?
I don't think anyone's disagreeing.
Now you're moving.
Wait, we don't know
Now-
yet. We
now
haven't seen
you're
his emails
changing.
yet. We haven't gotten subpoenas yet. We haven't done an investigation.
You haven't done any of that.
Wait, then Trump
Like, we haven't
himself
actually gone through the
obviously would be
process.
definitionally less, because the only
Hold on,
piece of evidence that you look at
your
is that he's
argument is that
supporting
you have
Trump
less
more.
evidence against Trump than Marco Rubio?
That's not.
No,
Right?
you're probably almost definitely going to have less evidence because Trump is higher up in the organization and was handing down orders, right?
No,
But that
because
doesn't mean
Trump
that,
is the dictator. Trump is the fascist.
and even if you have less evidence, that doesn't mean you don't have enough evidence for a conviction, right? There might be different quality, or different crimes.
Do you think that they have
that you
enough
might charge
evidence
him
to
with.
convict Marco Rubio of insurrection?
If we want to play the 14th
can
Amendment
decide that.
game, if we want to look at the 14th Amendment, it doesn't even require a criminal conviction. It just requires a determination that somebody is committed or engaged in or aided somebody in an insurrection, and that is enough to bar them.
But the
from ever holding
14th
a future
Amendment
office.
use of aid and comfort is different than the colloquial use of aid and comfort. You understand this, right? Like, it doesn't mean anyone who sent a "I hope you feel better, Trump" text was comforting Trump, right? There's specific criteria that you have to meet to meet the bar of
it's
aiding
and comfort
and comfort.
in them committing an insurrection.
Yeah, we know that. We all know that.
Okay, Marco Rubio participating in his government does not necessarily meet the criteria of aiding and abetting an insurrection.
Hold on,
Do you think
he's
that Hitler's
Secretary
second
of State?
vice president, vice chancellor, I don't know who it would have been, do you think that guy was aiding Hitler just for participating in the government?
As
Yeah,
again,
as
hold on. As Staxioms mentioned, several of the
Some of them
Nuremberg
are
trial
innocent.
people were
Bullshit.
found innocent. So no, it's not it's not sufficient.
But they were put. Hold on. But they were put through a trial.
That's
right?
what I'm
You would
saying.
say-
We should put all of them
Yeah,
on
yeah.
trial, but some of them will be innocent, which is why I'm kind of the middle ground here. Yeah.
Yeah, you put them on trial, and then that's how we found out they were
I
innocent,
recognize that
right? If
Rubio.
was the
You
case.
guys keep pointing to Rubio because he is by far the only member of the administration who is maybe even kind of disagreeing with Trump. The rest of them are fucking lock in step.
Well,
And
no, I mentioned Rubio just to be clear. I'm mentioning Rubio because he's the only one with really political like gravitas in that administration. He has Fox News contributors like Pam Bondi and fucking
Just
Hegseth.
to be clear,
and other
Rubio has
things.
no political gravity right now. I don't think.
Yeah.
Gravitas.
Okay, hold on. I want to point this out though, because there's obviously a flaw in this case.
Warren
You guys are
Marco
saying
Rubio.
charge them with insurrection in order to bar them from participating in politics in the future. My frustration with what you're saying is, as far as I know, the documented case of Donald Trump conducting insurrection or being a part of an insurrection or seditious conspiracy or whatever is January 6, 2021. Half of his administration wasn't even a part of his administration during January 6, 2021. And not only that, it's difficult to argue that them acting within their capacities as cabinet members is them aiding and abetting or providing comfort for insurrection when the person that you're charging with insurrection is not actively engaged in insurrection. So there's a fatal flaw to your case, even if we were to even entertain it, which we shouldn't.
Once an insurrectionist, always an insurrectionist. If you support him in the future and he's doing the same behavior, boom, you're still doing
Same
it.
behavior. What's the same behavior as far as Trump is going on right now? How has he overthrown the government of the United States?
He's overthrown state governments by nationalizing the national guards of different states without getting approval from the governors first. That's a clear violation of the law. He is trying to use the military for purposes of law enforcement. That's also usurping the states' rights there to do their own law.
Except for that's already been to court, and the court said that they're allowed to protect federal buildings. They're not allowed to engage in law enforcement activities, and as far as we know, that's what's happened.
Well, so the ruling from a DC court today was that he's not allowed to send the National Guard to DC to go do law enforcement things. I don't know. I'm sure there are TROs and states that have been challenged, but these are challenging the president's lawful authority to do a thing. I want him challenged for insurrection.
But federalizing the National Guard is not a crime. Federalizing
It is if you do it in contravention. If the governors don't want it, it is.
I already let you psychically know my arguments earlier. I would like to finish a sentence. Thanks. I've been listening.
Because you just started off by saying a thing that Trump didn't do. So I just wasn't sure why you were saying that thing.
I get it. You're the main character. Please shut the fuck up for 10 seconds.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Drinking water's not a crime either.
Federalizing the National Guard in and of itself is not a crime. Also, federalized National Guard are allowed to protect federal buildings, as is the military. That's what the courts have found so far.
We're not talking about either of those things, though, are we?
Yeah, you just said that a DC court prohibited federalized National Guard from participating in law enforcement action.
Yeah, but the first example I brought up, California, was federalizing the National Guard without the consent of the governor.
You're allowed to do that.
No, you're not. You have to have the consent of the governor to do it. No, in Trump 1, remember when Trump made a big deal about, was it the Minnesota, about the governor not asking him for help and not letting him use the National Guard or whatever? No, you need the consent of the governor. It's the state's National Guard.
I almost guarantee
hold on.
I will look it up just for the sake of, I don't know, getting something productive out of this.
During states of emergency, that can be overridden, and that's an argument from the Trump side.
Federalize the National Guard for like national emergencies.
Yeah, but see, if we had a court case on this publicly, we both know the answers. See how good it would be to get all this.
We are
stuff?
having court cases on it.
I just have to research it.
It's going through the court right now. We understand this, right? That this is an open legal question that is going through the court.
It's not an
I
open legal
think it's
question.
already been found multiple times. I think there's already multiple states that have already gone through the process, and the process has been Trump can federalize National Guard. Trump can deploy National Guard and federal troops in order to protect federal buildings. They are not allowed to participate in law enforcement action. I think the lower court
you have the only way that you can do this is I don't know if the law says in times of rebellion or insurrection. It might say, I don't know if it's a national emergency thing, but it might be in times of insurrection or rebellion. But again, there's a reason why he didn't do. Why didn't he do this?
There's like half a dozen exceptions. It's not just one.
Why didn't he do this during BLM then?
Why didn't? Because they're not allowed to participate in law enforcement action without declaring the Insurrection Act. And
He could protect federal buildings. What do you mean?
He didn't want to declare the Insurrection Act. He could have used federalized National Guard if he wanted to. He would just have to declare the Insurrection Act first.
Why was he complaining then about not being able to do it because the governors weren't asking him for it? Also, Trump was not allowed to deploy the National Guard.
Why are we even trying to figure out what Trump means? Like, Trump's a fucking dumbass. He doesn't understand any of this shit.
Being a dumbass doesn't mean that his behavior is random or unknowable. It's because he knew he didn't have the authority to do so.
I was saying that the president of the United States, throw Trump out of the window real quick. I will Google it. However, it is my understanding, based off of court cases that have already made it through the pipeline, that the president of the United States is allowed to federalize the National Guard under half a dozen to a dozen circumstances, and that he's also allowed to deploy federalized National Guard and military in order to protect federal buildings. However, those people are prohibited from enforcing laws because they're not law enforcement.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Okay, well, I'll Google it. You guys have fun jerking each other raw about shit that's not going to happen.
Jerking it raw, yes.
Jerking it raw. Okay. I'm going to read some super chats at this point, and then we will get into the final section of the show, and we'll see how it goes. $5 from Darina. Wow, Wick, it's like you don't even care about America. You could have worn something a little more patriotic. Geez, like a giant wiener costume. Well, no wiener costume here, but I thought about I like my American hoodie. Okay. Thank you for $5. $5 from J-Ray N7 to say, isn't Rubio a main champion of the Venezuela plan, and he has enacted the plan to strip the First Amendment rights of immigrants? He has. I'm not saying that Rubio's a good guy. $5 to Trib1. Can we stop virtue signaling here? LOL. Trump is a traitor. All in power who support him should absolutely get treated as traitors as well. It's that simple. Okay, $5 from the Trib1. Do you remember how many Republicans quit or were fired during and after his first term? The Rhino Group. Like, where are your balls at? This is easy. $5 from Psycher Games. I don't want to get political, but I think butter goes well on toast. Sorry if that offends anyone. $10 from Not Rusted Halo Wick. Ask Destiny to explain why this won't fail, like when we banned the Ba'ath Party members from holding power in Iraq post-2003.
Well, I've done that. Hey, why not?
Yeah, why won't this fail? Did he answer your question? I don't remember.
No, he
The
said
Ba'ath
that
Party was a single party rule. The Ba'ath Party was literally the entirety of the Iraqi government. There's a difference.
I don't know enough about 2003.
Yeah,
comment, so.
You're clearing out. You're clearing out the entirety of the active Republican Party, right? Well, first of all, they do have single party rule in some areas, right? It's just Republican, and so you actually are clearing all that.
The United States of America is a democracy. They voted for and they supported willingly a dictator. You didn't really have much of a choice with Saddam Hussein. He would fucking kill you if you didn't support his regime. And it was a single party rule. So you had to be part of that if you were going to be part of the government any way, size, shape, or form.
But what we're talking about is the failure here, right? We're
no, it's okay. I understand because you care about Palestine. You know nothing about the Middle East. Obviously, that logically follows. So now we're trying to make this work.
Whatever.
No, it's not even remotely comparable.
Stephen,
comparable.
It won't work with me. You're not gonna distract me with that. Whatever, right? So, Stephen, right? We're talking about a failure state here, right? We're trying a point in which you take a political action, right? And it's and consequences are so huge that it has massive unintended blowback. That's what we're referring to, right? Not the exact sequence of events that happened in Iraq, okay? So why wouldn't this fail, right? So you're saying that we take down the entire active Republican Party, right? We take away the voice, essentially, for half of the voting public, and there won't be any sort of reaction. This instead will shine light down, open all their eyes to the crimes, right? Rather than entrench them.
Let a new wave of Republicans come up and run for office. People will move on.
What do you think they'll do? Right?
Not the same thing the last party did.
What do you think the lessons will be? Or
the lesson will be we can't do insurrectionist things and destroy the country because we're going to get held accountable for it.
Hold on, just real quick. I see tons of Republicans. I'm not talking politicians here. I'm talking normal, I won't say them, they're normal, but average Republicans who vote. And they are complaining because they worried that the Democrats are going to do exactly what you do, and they are urging Trump to be more extreme because they're saying if you don't Trump, then the Democrats are going to do this. So once you get in power and you do this, what do you think these voters that are saying this now are going to vote for in the future?
They won't do it again. They should be worried. There should be worried that if you break the law, if you do bad things will happen to you. You should be worried about that.
That is not the lesson they will learn.
Except if you're a Democrat.
Can't I flip that immediately and say, because I see Republicans all the time who are terrified of Trump and think that they're bringing democracy down to the toilet and America is exploding, and they're like, where's the party of Dick Cheney? Where's the party
why would we ever cede that ground because we're winning? Why would we ever cede that ground by being just as crazy as the Republicans?
We're saying we're fucking getting rid of all of that old administration. Old Republicans, come on in. You're welcome at the table. We'll fight you politically, but we're certainly not gonna. We'll let you run for office.
We'll let you.
That's an extreme.
Okay. Do you hear yourself now?
No. But certainly speaking, Pam Bondi should not be able to.
Are you an only child?
No, I have two sisters.
You ever play a video game against somebody who's way better than you or older than you, and you're trying to set some fucking
I've never played it against anyone who's better than me.
I bet you won't even let me get this. I bet you won't even let me loot this completely. I bet you won't even let me. I bet you're trying to kill me early. I bet you're trying to do this, right? And you say this shit so the other person doesn't do it, so you can get some fucking god gun or some fucking blue shell or some bullshit, so that you can finally beat him. The fact that the Republicans are saying, "Wow, I bet that the Democrats are going to try to hold us accountable for fucking destroying this fucking country," and then you're like, "Okay, well, let's hold them accountable." And you're like, "Oh my god, you've fallen right into their trap." No, the trap is what you've fallen into, which is no accountability because the Republicans are scared of accountability. Meanwhile, what did the Republicans say on their side? What did the Republicans say? We better not be fucking crazy because that would set a really bad
they're saying we need to be as crazy as possible because the Democrats are going to kill us all. That's what they're saying.
They say the Democrats have already done it. The same thing that you use as excuses for restraint on the left, the Republicans use as excuses, as reasons to act on the right.
And that's why they're losing and I'm winning. Yes, that you have figured it out.
They won the second election. What are you talking about?
Were you here a year ago?
They won a fluke election where we pushed out our candidate 3 months before the election, where every incumbency lost worldwide. You're acting and you're extrapolating. It's like people extrapolating the win Mamdani got against Cuomo as what the Democratic Party should do as a whole. It's fucking stupid. It's fucking retarded. Okay? There are various factors in that election that does not mean that makes it silly to extrapolate out further from that. Again, running against Cuomo?
We have to look at the guy who won in 2024 was the guy who said the 2020 election was rigged, among 50 other horrible fucking things.
Because he ran a uniquely bad campaign.
Who, Biden?
But it's also because
Kamala did.
But it's also because he felt like he was protected from all the consequences of his actions.
But come on. I understand Kamala run a substandard campaign.
It's not just that.
If you're against Trump, it should be a landslide. That is the state of the country. That is the state of the country, is that we can't accept. We have to accept the fact that it
you can talk about what should be all the day. I'll talk about what is.
Should have ran again because he's my god, he's my king. But
yeah, I know you're Biden a dick rider, right? He's a little incompetent.
I got more super chats. I'm sure this will continue. $5 from Old School to say the next party to take the White House and not use the government to go after their political enemies will govern for the next 2 decades. Okay, I'm out. Thank you for $5.
What did Biden do to go after his political enemies? Look at that fucking retard.
Just fucking
I disagree with that.
behind the keyboard.
I disagree with that.
Please.
$2 from Tesco Johnson to say
it's fucking
to say this is gay, Destiny is gay. Thank you for the $2.
The guy who just donated before, I'm going to do this more sibling analogy. It's like when you hit your sibling over and over again, you go, oh, no. When they go to hit you back, you're like, no, don't do it. It's so stupid. It's like somebody breaking into my house and I go to break into somebody's house I go to break into somebody's house and I tell my friend, watch this. I bet when I go in here and try to take all the shit, I bet he's going to fucking hit me because he's a fucking lunatic. And then you go in to steal all his shit and he fucking hits you and you're like, oh, what did I tell you? But he wouldn't hit me. He would sit there and watch me steal his shit like a cock because Wick would be like, don't hit him because you're going to prove him exactly right.
No, I would call the cops and get you arrested. That's what I would do.
Oh, what about if the
I
cops
knew
are the
he
one
was going
robbing
to call the cops.
Of course I'm going to call the cops.
No, that's fine. What if the cops are the one robbing you, Wick?
Well, what if the cops are the ones robbing me? Then you're gonna get robbed. Actually, funny story. My mom, the cops did steal my laptop.
Because Donald Trump is the head of the executive branch, which has the DOJ and the FBI. He is the cops. He's the executive. So what do you do when the cops are robbing you? It's a serious question because it's a one-to-one analogy with where Trump occupies the government.
If you think that the cops are being run by a corrupt sheriff, I'm not sure how cops and that works. Counterpoints could probably speak to this more. Sure, you do is you elect a different sheriff. That's how you fix the fucking problem.
I'm all for electing a different sheriff.
Okay, great. Let me keep reading these. $10 from Trip One.
What if everyone's like, no, I'm kind of on board with Wick getting stolen from all this time?
Okay, well then you have a bigger problem, don't you?
We do have a bigger problem. I agree with you.
What if the sheriff's already stolen a ton of shit from you and then he loses the next election and you're like, can I get my shit back? And people are like, you can't go and rob him now. That would set a bad precedent.
Hold on. If they said, hey, if we go after this, there's a 99% chance this guy is going to win again or someone like him is going to win again. You know what? I'm going to take the loss. Because I value my future more than my past.
99%.
Hold on. I value my future more than my past. I value my rights on my more than my sense of
live on my knees. Okay, that's how it works. We're America.
Well, you ain't gonna live at all. You're gonna be in the ground, brother.
Okay, yeah. As opposed to right now, the slow path we're descending into chaos.
Yeah, I'm giving you a solution to get out of that path. What you're giving us is a recipe for that slow dissolution of the country.
What was the solution?
What is the solution is to be fucking normal, win elections, and then we don't have to worry about a future Trump because what we've done is we've showcased the...
Was Obama normal? Was Obama normal?
Yeah, pretty much.
How the fuck did we get Trump after Obama?
Because...
he was black.
Holy shit.
Because he was black, obviously.
No.
That's a great question.
We got that because of the Iraq War... because of all
that Obama started?
Is this thing on? Obama was normal, but he was black, obviously.
No, we all agree, but then
okay.
Look, there's a whole host of factors here.
How do we prevent Trumps in the future?
Okay, how do we prevent Trump?
Not elect black presidents.
Don't elect radicals like Obama, not radical communists. I spent 8 years of my life listening to these subhuman, degenerate demon fucks saying that Obama was a radical socialist communist. Okay, the guy who couldn't even get a public option passed for the fucking healthcare was a radical social communist, and we got Trump after that. Like, this is insane. It's insane. It's insanity. It doesn't get more normal than Obama was boringly normal. Okay,
it's true. And you know what? He won both of his terms.
But
then
he set up
for American president,
Trump,
right? Because you just commit war crimes, so you're American president. That's
crime.
That's like
I'll deal with you later.
Out of his ear.
Hey, yo, deal with me now.
$10
because, that's what American presidents fucking do.
Obama shouldn't be committing war crimes. He should be based like Hamas and go rape a bunch of people, and then have people like Prime in the West defended. Behaves, King, King rapist.
Again, don't worry. Keep trying to distract, right? You have to change the subject because you can't.
I'm not changing the subject. I'm talking about Hamas.
What you're doing, right? You're not advocating for justice here. Like Steven's not looking for justice because if he was, then he would
be more just than raped Israelis.
That's what you love. Prime. He would have said yes, Prime. Of course, like any president, right? With a D or R in front of their name, of course we'd prosecute them. Of course we'd go back and look at whatever crimes they're doing, right? But no, he had to obfuscate. He had to distract. He had to do everything he can, right, to move the subject off of his partisans' daddies, right? Like he is here for the Democrats. That's all he's here for, right? So he's not actually looking for a system that would actually hold a party to account, right? Because that system would only work if they understood.
In a second, I'm gonna.
That it was. that it was legal, justifiable, and blind. But it's not blind for Steven, right?
I'm gonna read my super chats.
Not his daddy.
I'm gonna read my super chats, and you can re-rail us if all you like, Staxioms. $10 from the Trib One to say thinking the liberal Dems wouldn't have more people and munitions behind them is insane. The Civil War wouldn't just be fought by Americans; neighboring countries would also join. It's Trump versus USA and its allies. Thank you for the $10. $5 from the Darwina. Do you think these crusty-ass conservatives are going to do anything in a civil war? They get asked their pronouns, and they piss themselves crying. $2 from Psychor to say, yes, but Obama wore a tan suit. Thank you. $20 from Mr. Wise Guys. Wick, you deserve this $20 for putting on display how unhinged the Trump derangement and Trump deranged Destiny's position on politics, specifically on Trump administration is. I love you, Counterpoints, for not falling for Destiny's gaslighting.
Who donated that? What was that guy's name?
Mr. Wise Guys Plays.
What's his address and full name and social security number? I'm coming after that guy.
That's, we disavow. Okay. Thank you for the 20 gifted memberships from Isaac's Text. And Trib1, thank you for the 10 gift memberships. Trib1 says, I got candy and someone else got a candy bar from the store. I went to the register to buy it and the other person didn't. Is it the same Prime?
What?
I don't know. $5. It's only $5, so you don't have to answer. Is anyone even questioned how these speedboats are being identified? Like, what makes a drug speedboat any different than a family outing speedboat?
Probably a bunch of 55-gallon drums lined up horizontally 4 abreast across the entirety of the ship.
Damn, if only we could have arrested the boats and then found out what was on them.
Oh, we did. We did detain them, then we released them.
Listen, I don't think drug trafficking should have a death sentence, but I also think that those...
Also, Trump did provide evidence. I think he said that when they blew the boats up, you could see the fent dust, I think. I heard him say that.
I don't know.
Yeah, some soldiers a few miles away, right? Like when a seizure, right? When a fentanyl seizure.
Real Serious for 100 ARS says, I feel like there's a fundamental disagreement on whether the U.S. should be able to unalive people on foreign soil for purposes of national security. That's true. $5 from Cameraman 502 to say, is a vote for Trump in 2024 support for an insurrection that started and ended in 2021? Is support for executive orders in 2025 support for actions in 2021?
I think the obvious answer there is no. And just giving you guys a heads up, I do have a hard out at 8.
Okay, then I will read these after we get through closings then. But yeah, let's kind of... At this point, I don't know how... This isn't a serious conversation, unfortunately. I don't think these are serious proposals, but we'll get to closing statements and we'll see.
I just a quick thing. I just want to say very quickly. Fuck you, Wick. These are not serious proposals. The president of the United States is engaged in like 20 different scams, schemes, things that are like unprecedented in all of fucking U.S. history. Okay. Number 2, the president of the United States is literally tweeting out, "You guys all fucking raked me over the coals for saying I think that we shouldn't disavow violence." Blah, blah, blah. And then the president of the United States this morning is retweeting people saying we should execute congressmen. So if you think that my rhetoric is extreme or the actions of suggestion are extreme, they are extreme. You know what else is extreme? The fucking Civil War, and it was started for arguably less shit than this. It's fucking crazy. This guy is killing people in foreign countries. He's scamming all of fucking America. He's engaged in global trade policy. The whole fucking Congress on the Republican side has advocated all their responsibilities. He's arguably protecting himself as a fucking child rapist, and he's rigging the whole fucking DOJ and Congress against everything else in order to do it. The idea that like, well, I think it's actually kind of crazy that you're saying that like, you know, they shouldn't be allowed to like hold on to that.
You can have different things being
crazy. If this was on the Republican side, they would never have this conversation. They would say, how do we make it happen? How many of these motherfuckers can we bar from running again? They're using the term seditious conspiracy, which would bar you from ever running for office again. And they've said seditious conspiracy for like 2 years. In my opinion.
And they're going to lose. I think that when it comes to what Trump is saying, this kind of rhetoric is why he's going to lose in 2026. If we want him not to lose, if we want him not to lose, you just keep doing what you're doing, and you will give him all the ammo he needs to stay in power.
He already has the ammo. Who comes next?
Okay.
Yeah. He's got the
Let's give it to Prime. Let's give it to Prime, and then we'll give it to Counterpoints, and then we'll give it to Staxioms. Go ahead, Prime.
Oh, is this an outro? Or is
yeah,
it's
an outro.
Oh, okay. Well, wait, it was dumb shit. Like, his, like, Trump's actual extremist rhetoric got him into office the first time, right? And then got him to office the second time, and has like increased his popularity all along the way. So no, like him saying, "Hey, well, we should hang politicians," right? No, it's just another pebble, right, another stone down the path
What is
to
his
help.
approval
But like
rating,
it doesn't
Jeremy?
matter. Like it'll end up in the same place. So whatever. Anyway, which way? I think Stephen was bullshitting us. I think that even if he thinks this is a serious proposition, right? There's parts of it I can agree with, certainly, right? But I simply um, uh, had the reasonable ask of saying, "Hey, why don't we apply this to all presidents, right? No matter what their crime." It's true, right? Because Stephen will try to distract you. That's what he does, right? That maybe Trump's crimes are greater than other crimes, right? That Biden did, or Obama did, or down the line, or maybe Clinton as well, right? His crimes may be greater, but that doesn't mean that we shouldn't have crimes or trials for the other ones, right? If they committed a crime, then they should do the time, correct? Right? Like if we are saying that we're trying to create a system of justice, that justice has to be blind. It has to be blind to political parties. But Stephen isn't, right? This is a partisan witch hunt from his end. Now, Staxioms, from what little we heard of him, right? Staxioms seems to be no, it's not an insult.
Just go.
Staxioms seems to be trying to actually put something forward that might be useful. Yeah, we should have accountability, right, for office holders. That should be the case. Clearing out half of the politicians, right? Because we said like, well, at a certain point in time, you hadn't reprimanded, right? You hadn't separated yourself from the previous dictator, right? Setting such an arbitrary example, right? Doesn't mean that. Sorry, I've lost my train of thought here. This is all bullshit, all right?
No.
I lost my train of thought, so I apologize.
I was about to say,
Anyway,
I need to jump in a second anyway, so do you mind if I just hit it?
Counterpoints. Yeah, I know you need to go, so just real quick, and then we'll let.
Okay.
I want to do
Right.
finish my
Yeah.
Okay. So effectively, like, listen, again, in an ideal world, I would load Donald Trump up into a trebuchet and fire him in the Atlantic Ocean without a life preserver. That's not going to happen. So failing that, we're kind of talking about like political pragmatism. When it comes to being politically pragmatic, I think this is the antithesis of pragmatism. If you want it to be a marketing strategy in which you rally the Democrats to get excited about justice and this, that, the other, that way you get them excited for midterms so we can throw this guy out on his ass. Awesome. If this is legitimately a perspective, I think it's kind of dumb as fuck. I think that it stands a snowball's chance in hell. I don't think that it's going to really do anything. And I'm actually with Wick with the fact that you're effectively giving these people some martyrs complex. I don't agree with your analogies. I think that when it comes to people, so for instance, you're saying, oh, you want me to get cuckolded? You want me to just steal somebody's shit? Well, guess what? He can steal your shit. He's the fucking president of the United States. He has some degree of executive authority. And unless you have the ability to overcome the pardon, or if you have the ability to overcome the impeachment process, or if you have the ability to overcome the criminal process, you're fucked. So the question is, once somebody steals your bike and it's already stolen and you can't get it back, do you worry about getting justice for your bike, even though it's not going to do shit? Or do you focus on working so you can get another bike? And that's what I would say. It's politically unproductive. It's kind of dumb, but it was fun. So I parasocial love you guys. I think I'm going to see Steven next week. So parasocial love. Mwah. Bye to all you guys. See you in a bit.
Okay.
Love
See
you.
later.
Love you too,
Bye.
Prime.
Love you too.
Hey,
Okay.
Prime, you can finish up
just
your
to-
point. Yeah.
Yeah, just to finish up, I disagree with Counterpoints just said. You can do both, right? You can get justice for your bike. Of course, you can put the individual in jail, right, who stole the bike, and then you can try to create a world in which bikes aren't stolen, because everyone has a bike or some shit. I don't know. You can do both at the same time. In any case, I do appreciate the conversation. It was nice meeting you, Staxioms. Thank you, Wick, for inviting me.
We've
Steven,
met
go fuck
before.
yourself.
This fucker.
Whatever. It doesn't matter.
met, like- Fine.
Steven,
Hey, where can people find you,
Yeah,
Prime?
thank you. Steven, go fuck yourself. But you can find me at youtube.com or twitch.tv/Primecayes, PRIMECEYES. We'd love to have you. We're always streaming, and we're putting on political panels. They're a lot of fun. So come on down. I'm streaming right now. I'll stay a little while longer. So if people had something they want to say to me, come over to my channel, youtube.com, and I'll deal from there.
Okay, thank you for being here. Really appreciate you. Destiny, do you have anything else for us?
Republicans are dreamers, okay? I'm tired of being told that we have to be pragmatic while the other side is has messianic hallucinations of power and manages to enact them time and time again. Gavin Newsom is the only person in the Democratic Party that seems to be willing to fight over anything. He came in with Prop 50 at like 35%, and people said it was crazy. Donald Trump came into the primaries at like 1% and managed to capture basically the entire Republican Party. And if we allow the Republicans to act with impunity, to steal Supreme Court picks from us, to steal elections from us using the Supreme Court, to commit crimes, to scam the American public, to openly and blatantly break laws that we don't even talk about anymore, like the fucking Hatch Act. We're past even beginning to care about these things. If they're allowed to break these things over and over again with impunity, with no consequences, then all you're doing is setting up the next elected Republican to break the exact same laws in a more unhinged manner. Just like Trump 2 has been more unhinged than Trump 1. I don't know why we wouldn't expect Trump's predecessor to be, or Trump's successor to be even more unhinged. It doesn't make any sense. So I think that it would be good
What about
to
Democrats?
have like some.
Let him
I think
finish
it'd
his
be good to have a strict. Watch this. Do you want to see a magic trick? Hey, Prime. Can you give me a single official that was elected to federal office that agrees with your political positions over the past decade?
What is my political? What
Exactly. So nothing you say
position are you-
matters.
Oh,
because your
what-
political
oh, what
positions
position are you
untenable,
talking-
they don't
no,
matter.
what
I don't
position
even
are you
think
talking
fucking
about?
vote.
Sorry,
So
what
it
position
actually
are you
doesn't
talking
matter.
about? I have lots of
It
political
doesn't matter.
positions.
It doesn't
I have
matter.
no
Got
poli-
it.
I have
That's
lots of
why it
political
doesn't
positions.
matter.
What
I'm
position
so
are you
happy
talking
that we're the
about?
president
No, you just say
ejecting
some
this,
vague bullshit,
ejecting
right?
these people from the
AOC
left
agrees with my
because
positions,
they're not
right?
our
If
allies.
that's the position
They're
you're
not
talking
our
about,
allies.
you're
They're not our
bullshitter.
allies. They're not our
You're a
allies. That's good.
fucking
If I look at your Twitter, have you been roasting AOC ever for
No,
refusing to
you
condemn the
won't see
genocide in
anything.
Israel?
You won't
Never.
see
You've
anything
never.
'cause
You
I
haven't
don't
said
post
anything
on
negative about
Twitter.
AOC.
Look at it right now. I don't post on Twitter.
How would you? Why would you question it like that? Why would you avoid it like that? Why don't post on Twitter? Implying that if you were posting on Twitter, you would be roasting AOC because you thought she was slow to come around Israel.
I literally do
that's
roast
okay.
AOC.
That's
I
okay.
say AOC.
Yeah,
Well,
that's
then
what
you
he's
do, right?
saying.
Why would you even admit that?
That was the
then
point, dude.
Exactly.
Hold on,
That was the point.
because
Also,
I'm not
AOC was
I'm
elected
not
more
a
than a
dick
decade
writer
ago.
like you.
AOC was
Because I'm
elected
not a
more than a
dick
decade
writer
ago,
like
so
you
it
are.
doesn't matter.
Because I don't have to worship
GG.
my
Okay.
political heroes.
G.
Right?
Okay,
I
doesn't
can
matter.
say they're
Okay,
politics.
okay. This is closing
Bullshit.
statements, gang. For fuck's sake.
In
Okay.
Inception, when that guy pulls out the rocket launcher, he says, "Dare to dream a little bigger." What, Tom Hardy? That's what we needed. We need to dream bigger
Okay.
and pull out a rocket
Okay.
launcher. Okay.
Gang, if you like this content for whatever reason.
What the fuck?
What about Staxioms?
You don't give Staxon a
Staxioms,
final
didn't
sign?
you have the first one?
Unbelievable. After all I've been through, you fucker?
No.
Staxioms, didn't you have the first?
No.
No,
Closing?
you didn't give him shit.
Unbelievable.
Damn it.
You-
Staxioms, go ahead. Staxioms,
Motherfucker.
close us out. I guess.
Yeah, sorry. Just
I
something that I want
defend
to talk
white men, okay? I defend white men. I'm an ally.
Thank you.
know
I
that.
feel so supported right now. All right. So
Because like 99% of his political movement are white men. So
something I wanted to talk to Connor about, but he left. A similar historical example that I think we should have been talking a little bit more about is Nixon being able to move on from his crimes. Ford pardoned Nixon, and the Republicans lost all political capital, and their approval ratings were dog water, and lost the next election. And my conclusion is that it's not always politically advantageous to just ask the country to move on. I'm Staxioms. You can call me Hunter. I make political TikToks. I do debates every Friday, and I'm probably going to do more debates. I'm on Wick all the time, and thanks for having me, Wick.
Oh, anytime. We appreciate you having coming on. Now, I'm gonna stay on a little longer. You guys can stay with me, and I can bring in callers, or you guys can fuck off. I don't care. But that's what we're gonna do here.
I'm probably going to fuck
Yeah.
off.
See you later, buddy.
I'll stay a little longer.
Okay, we're gonna bring in a couple people.
I'm for sure fucking off then.
jeez, what do you mean by that? Oh my god,
don't
I'm
know.
just joking. Prime, we're good, right? We're good?
No, we're definitely good, right? No, I said fuck Steven, not fuck Stacks.
They all
true.
sound the same. All white people look the same to me. Okay. So we got North here, and we got Short Fat Otaku. And we're gonna try like two at a time here. What do you guys got? What are you've been watching this? What are your thoughts? Go ahead.
Yemeni pirates. I don't think Biden had the proper authority to bomb the Yemeni pirates. I mean, yeah.
Would you charge him for
Would-
that? Would you charge him with a crime?
Would you charge Biden for that? Because you claimed that, what was it, that one act that was passed after 9/11 in like 2001 to basically kill anyone involved with, the destruction of the Twin Towers, but I don't think the Yemeni pirates were involved with that. I think it's a major stretch at all to even consider them within that authority. So is Biden striking Yemeni pirates, is that something that we should bring him to trial for?
Sorry, you might have to remind me. Weren't they attacking American ships?
Well, yeah, they were attacking American ships.
Okay, that feels like in a completely different category. I was mostly comparing it to Trump's attacks on the Venezuelans. I don't know exactly where my line sits. Yeah, maybe I would think that that's abhorrent. I think that's fair. I think that's fair, and it's certainly a category above or a category below what Trump is doing right now.
Well, yeah, I guess you could consider it like a category below, but I'm saying it's still a president operating outside of the purview of the powers given to them by Congress. So
Just real quick, counterpoints. I thought you had to go.
that was Connor here.
I did. So the
Yeah,
guy
with that.
sent me a DM that said 8 p.m. EST, but that's when his show normally is. But Andrew Wilson and I agreed to 9 p.m. EST, so I was just incorrect on the time.
Okay.
My apologies. But
Fair
SFO said that he had a question for me, so I wanted to answer his question.
Okay. Well, go ahead, SFO.
Oh, I thought North, you were still doing your thing.
Well, yeah, I'm just saying.
Look, I'm happy to apply an equivalence here, and if we want to go through the political process of charging Biden and opening an investigation to see if he worked through the presidential powers, I'm happy to do so. I think that it's going to be miles below what Trump is doing and not indictable. But if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I don't know. I leave that to a grand jury to decide.
The difference when we're talking about charging with crimes are things that you do generally in your country, and it requires the knowledge that you are committing a crime. Generally speaking, depending on what time or what type of crime we're talking about. So, if the president of the United States is acting within what he believes his perceived authority is to a particular action, then it's hard to say that somebody should be charged with a crime there. That's like a checks and balance question of should the Congress revoke some power from the president. Now, if you want to say that the interpretation of the authorization of use of military force has been stretched too broadly, I think it's been pretty well accepted that presidents have been happy to interpret the authorization for the use of military force to give them broad discretion to do acts, especially in the Middle East. And it seems like Congress hasn't tried to intervene to stop that. I don't think there have been challenges that I'm aware of that have gone to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court has ruled against the president in terms of their interpretation of that. So it would seem that the president does have the legal authority to function in that manner. I don't believe that Trump cites the authorization for the use of military force for like his attacks in Venezuela. I don't know if it's been used outside of the Middle East.
If President J.D. Vance, if President J.D. Vance believes that in the unitary executive theory, right, he believes he has the authority to do whatever it is he wants to do, right? Then would that inoculate him? I was like, that's my theory.
There's two things. There's two things. One, there is going to be some reasonableness standard that we can talk about. But two, I don't even think he believes that. I think he knows that he's breaking the law. And I would prove it with his past statements, because he's made statements saying that he thinks that Donald Trump could be the next Hitler, or that he's had completely different opinions on what the powers of the president should be. Like, we can ask questions about his state of mind.
Hold on, but even then, he could say he could change his mind, though, right? Like, even with his past statements, he could change his mind, saying now I believe in unitary executive theory, right?
Sure, but I mean, we could look at all of his statements collectively. We could subpoena him, see what he says behind closed doors. It wasn't a question about the Trump administration. They knew, all of them knew, relating to the 2020 election. They knew they were breaking the law. All of them knew it. It wasn't a mystery. It wasn't, what's going on here. And with Vance saying statements like, "Well, let the judges enforce their rulings" or whatever, or "We don't agree with what the judges are saying," that's clearly like in violation of the law. You can't do that. It's a clear abuse of checks and balance. You're not allowed to do that.
I think another issue that I have is like you're wanting to push this to the Supreme Court in order to figure this out. There are certain things that the Supreme Court can't really do, right? So, let's say Trump is bombing Venezuelan, ships in the Caribbean without the purview of Congress. Can the Supreme Court even do anything about it? I mean, they might say like, "Oh, you're being a naughty boy," but it's not like the Supreme Court has the power to order ships to, stop bombing Venezuelan craft.
Well, the government could, the Supreme Court could find that the president is exceeding his authority. And then now the issue you run into...
The Supreme Court doesn't have any purview to follow through with that.
Yeah, I was about to say, I'm in front of them first.
Hold on. This is called a constitutional crisis for that reason, right? Technically, it's up to the executive to enforce it. But in the past, most presidents have generally followed what's come from Congress and come from the Supreme Court. It's only the Trump administration that seems to clearly just not give a fuck. That's exceptional. That's a new thing.
But that isn't even necessarily descriptively true, because we've had them push it to the limit. For instance, Kilmar Abrego Garcia, we had them push them to the limit of obstruction. then before
This
the
is
lower
bullshit.
court
I'm
judge-
not even going to entertain this.
before
Like,
the lower
if
court judge-
my
before the
if
lower
my
court
wife
judge-
tells me I'm
I
not
didn't
allowed to
come
fuck
here
another
just to
girl,
listen.
and I put a
I didn't
condom
come
on,
here
and I
just
say,
to
well, my
listen.
dick didn't technically touch
I
her,
didn't come
and
here just to
Connor's like, well,
listen.
actually, his dick
I didn't
really
come here
didn't
just to
actually technically
listen.
touch her. So
I didn't come here
that's
just
the
to listen.
argument you're giving. It's
I
bullshit.
didn't
It's a
come here just
bullshit
to
argument.
listen. I didn't come here just to listen. Okay, I didn't come here just to listen to you. This isn't just the Destiny show. This is the panel.
Nobody
show.
said it's just a Destiny show. You're just giving a
People
bullshit
got
argument.
8
You're not
hours
really
This is the
listen to you,
Wick
bro.
show,
Got 8
to be
hours
clear.
listen to you. Okay, this is the Connor
Okay,
show.
we're on the
too.
Connor show now.
Okay,
Let's go.
So on the Connor show, okay, so they pushed it to the limit as far as obstruction goes, but the lower court didn't find them in contempt of court and didn't charge Trump admin officials and incarcerate them, which technically they probably ran right up to the limit to. And now Kilmar Abrego Garcia was brought back. So you can say, oh, the Supreme Court can do this, can do that. No, they need a court case to be appealed up to their level first in order for them to do it.
Bullshit.
You
Okay,
bullshit.
hold on. This
What, there's
They
supposed to
knew
be
they were
two
breaking the
other
law.
things that
They
went in
knew
front
they
of
were
them?
breaking the law with Abrego Garcia. A court finally ruled on it, like, oh, okay, we'll come back. The precedent you're setting there is you can break the law infinite times as long as you eventually listen to the court afterwards. It's
No,
fucking
somebody has
retarded.
to sue first, and the people who
No,
should probably
That's
sue
not
it
how
should
the law
probably be
works,
the United
motherfucker.
States.
You're not only held accountable by the law if you break it, and then the court corrects you on it. The court is not there to keep you from breaking the law. The court is there to punish you for breaking the law.
Wait, hold on.
The court is there to adjudicate the law, but anyway.
My position is that somebody would need to bring a court case that the Supreme Court would need to review. Are you even arguing against it, or are you just yelling?
You're arguing that the court needs to tell you if you can do a thing or not. That's not what the court is for. The court is there to punish you when you break the law. That's what the court is for. You're saying that the Trump admin can do whatever the fuck they want as long as they listen to the court afterwards?
Well, hold on. Number one, I think we actually both agree descriptively. You have to violate the law or be accused of violating the law before somebody can hit you with a civil or a criminal infraction. I think we both agree on that. So, yeah, Trump has to violate the law, and then somebody has to sue him for violating the law. And then that needs to go to a lower court, and then the lower court needs to send it up to the higher court. I don't even know what we disagree on. I think you're just yelling.
The thing is, because you're saying that the process is working, I'm saying that them saying you can't do it and then Trump stopping it, that's not the solution. It should be you couldn't do that, and now you're convicted of a crime. That should be what's happening, but it's not.
Well, okay,
so
so
Trump's
I'm
saying,
sorry.
oh, I didn't know I couldn't do that.
So I'm with you here. So
Hold on, no,
the
wait.
lower
No,
court
hold on.
judge could
So
have
when
charged
Biden
Trump
tried, no,
admin
stop.
officials with
When
obstruction.
stop. When Biden tried to make a law or executive order to forgive student loan debts, and then the Supreme Court said, no, you're breaking the law. That's not something we should do. And then he stopped it. Should Biden be charged with the crime even though he stopped it?
I'm
No,
going to
because
interrupt
you
real
can
quick.
look-
Sorry, I'm going to peace out. All right, love you
Okay,
guys.
see you later.
Love you. No, because you can look at the actions of the president to see if they genuinely believe they have the authority to do so. President Biden could make a good faith argument stemming from an earlier law passed by Congress that gave the Department of Education relatively wide discretion on forgiving debt in times of emergency or whatever. Now, the Supreme Court ultimately decided, no, it doesn't apply here. It's too big of a thing. And then he wasn't able to do it. But there was an articulatable reason why he thought he had the authority to do that. Donald Trump doesn't even give the pretense of that. Like, there are times when the president might act outside their authority. You can say, okay, well, the court needs to check this, and the court checks it. It's like, oh, okay, then it's not okay, right? And I'm not saying, like, oh my God, the president needs to be charged with a crime. It's do they have the state of mind of, like, I know I'm breaking the law. I don't give a fuck. Let the court come and fuck me. I don't give a fuck. That's
Okay,
the difference. Trump is doing
I
that.
think that when they've gone to court, though, as an example, with like Kilmar Abrego Garcia, they've said, oh, well, we thought he was acting within his, I don't even know if plenary is an appropriate word, but he was acting within his XYZ ABC authority in order to carry out the duties of the presidency.
I don't think they did. They said,
no.
No.
You said that they didn't even have the pretense of an argument.
They didn't.
They
That's why when they went to the court, they didn't. That's why the Solicitor General said, okay,
what do you think the word pretense means?
When the Solicitor General went to the Supreme Court and he argued, the Supreme Court said, hey, they're suing you to enjoin the government from being able to deport people for no reason. And what is your argument? And their argument is, well, we don't think you should be able to have universal injunctions against us. That was their argument. It was a procedural argument. They didn't defend the substance of it at all. And even when they won on the procedural argument, they still brought him back because they knew it was fucking bullshit and they should have deported him in the first place. So no, they don't even try to argue the substance of half the shit that they take to the Supreme Court. They get hung up in fucking stupid procedural
could you help me out? Stephen, could you help me out? Because I was looking at these before. So your complaint against our friend Counterpoints was that like the judiciary is reactive, right? And then you, in response, said like, instead we need to limit a president, right, in the first place, so they don't actually commit the crime in the first place. So if that's the case, one, tell me, how do we actually stop a president from doing an action, right? We can make a law, but they can still just break that law. And in the end, like, isn't it up to the Supreme Court to be, or the judiciary, to be the corrector of bad actions, right? So, like, once that action is taken place, then the only power that we have is really the courts to say, hey, that was wrong.
If I want to play Monopoly with you and I bring a knife to stab you if you start beating me, what rule can you put in Monopoly to keep me from stabbing you to death over a Monopoly game?
No stabbing.
Nothing,
Also,
right? So
you
like
still got
the
pretense
so the
wrong.
legislator
There's
can't
nothing.
actually restrain the executive. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Correct. The executive has to want to be restrained. That's why George Washington leaving after 2 terms was such a big deal. That's why we put term limits after fucking Roosevelt or whatever the fuck when he had fucking 20 terms in office. The reason why the executive is so important is because the executive is supposed to be the one to enforce the laws. So if the executive decides not to, that's why it's called a constitutional crisis, because there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah.
Courts are not here to
Yeah.
stop bad things from happening. Courts are here to make people whole
Exactly.
or to enforce justice after bad things happen. And you have to hope that the executive is playing in good faith.
So okay. So then you're saying that we need to reestablish norms, and the way we reestablish those norms is through these trials, right? These like public trials where there's like a significant punishment for perpetrators. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. I just want to establish.
I want to get. I know Short Fat Otaku had some question he wanted to ask. So go ahead, Dev.
Well, this debate's made me pro-genocide, that's for sure.
Jesus.
Counterpoints. So you said earlier, if we can't get the Republicans now, it's not going to happen. Why do you think that again?
Because
As in not waiting until 2028.
Because right now you have the egregious violations that we're talking about. We're talking about like the civilian drone bombings. We're talking about the resistance to court orders. We're talking about all that kind of stuff. If we don't have the will within Congress in order to do something before 2028, I don't think that you're going to get anything in 2028.
Why though?
Because there's not enough Republicans who are willing to go with the Democrats in order to hold Republicans accountable.
Well, no, but if you have a blue sweep, then you'll have enough people in Congress then, right?
Well, I mean, I would be happy to take a look at it in 26, but also then we open up the can of worms of holding previous presidents accountable for criminal behavior. And then we also have to read this within the realm of like, you're going to have to impeach, then you're going to have to criminally charge, and you're going to have to balance that against the new Supreme Court ruling while still having a conservative Supreme Court.
I mean, yeah.
Why do you have to impeach and then first you just fucking charge him? Fuck him.
Okay, but you understand that you're going to be spending a lot of political capital on this venture that I do not think is ultimately going to be successful.
I think we have a high investment in the United States to have it so that our chief executive doesn't believe that he can commit crimes. I think that's a principle worth fighting for. Even kings were more limited in their power.
Yeah, and counterpoints. Like, what difference does it make, like, to you, really, that like an administration burns its political capital on this project?
Because I actually think the reason why, so for me, I think that I don't think it's just nostalgia. I think things have gotten materially worse for Americans over the past 2 or 3 decades. And so as a result, I see us like socioeconomically sliding into a position where radicalism is becoming increasingly normal. And I think that if Americans' lives were better, they wouldn't be as attracted to radicalism. And so for me, I would actually rather focus on the things that I think are driving radicalism rather than getting into, we must punish Trump. Once again, I'll say it again. I think Trump is a symptom, not the disease.
I mean, I agree. I perfectly agree with you. But one, I think political capital, we look at it the wrong way, right? Like political capital, you actually gain it from doing things, right? Like getting wins, right, gives you more political capital. And so if you could put these people on trial, right, not all of them, like Steven says, it's a dumbass idea. Don't listen to him. But if you put like Pete Hegseth on trial,
invade Israel, by the
way. So if you put Pete Hegseth on trial and you succeeded, right, you brought him to justice, I think that gives you political capital. Look what I've accomplished, right? Rather than like burning it from trying to put it on trial, right? Success breeds more success.
I'll give you a hypothetical. Let's say that we find out that Pam Bondi knowingly hid incriminating evidence against Trump from the Epstein files under the color of law for DOJ investigations, and she was not pardoned. and that was revealed, and we had the midterm ability in order to, I don't even know if you'd impeach her, but you have the ability to criminally sanction her. 100%. I'm all for it. But what I'm saying is, what I think is going to happen is that the Trump admin is going to use the Hunter Biden pardon, which I know is bullshit, but they're going to use that as a pretext to blanket pardon their own admin as they're on their way out the door.
Well, they're going to do that anyway, right? Like, but they
that?
can just do that one way or the other. Like a blanket pardon, like Bush did a blanket pardon
themselves, their families, all that stuff. Yeah,
but they'll do that anyway.
This brings into a concern that I have: the constitutionality of this. How much of the Constitution are you willing to violate? Like, let's say Trump just pardons everyone, right? Or the Supreme Court says, like, no, you're not allowed to go through with this theoretical Nuremberg situation. How much of the Constitution are you willing to violate just to prosecute Trump and his administration?
Every single prosecutor that works on this case,
like associated.
Every single prosecutor that works on this case and the judges that adjudicate these cases, I think should be legally required to wear giant shirts that have that Trump tweet printed on them that says, "He who saves his nation violates no law." And there you go. Boom.
But see, now we're just
a non-answer right there. That's just a meme answer.
So counterpoints. the disagreement that we have is that I think even if you did get Trump in 2026, you kicked him out of office, Vance will pardon him immediately. I think the only way to actually get justice for any of this, and I think Americans should get justice for this, is to wait until 2028. I think there's no path to prosecuting Trump that doesn't begin in 2028.
But then what we're talking about, because I did bring this up, I'll bring it up again. So we're in let's say Gavin Newsom. Okay, we're in the first 2 years of a Newsom presidency or 4 years of a Newsom presidency. So what you're saying is, instead of focusing on a domestic agenda that should actually be helping Americans, survive and thrive in an increasingly difficult economy, what they should do is they should instead spend 2 to 3 years going after a popular with his own base political opponent who already has pardon. And what is your circumventing capacity? Well, what is your capacity to go after Trump? What is your capacity to go after Hexist? What is your capacity to go after Bondi? Because I think
for Trump, I think it's actually pretty easy. I think it's actually really easy for Trump. On January 21st, you put Trump in handcuffs, and then you bring back the Epstein, not Epstein, Jesus, the Eastman scheme, that related set of lawsuits, because that was dropped, but it can still be brought back up.
Okay,
but was it Jack Smith?
Hold on. Was it ever determined?
Have you considered how
lawsuits
Republicans
were under the what is it? The presidential immunity with official actions? Was that ever determined?
We can get by that by appointing 12 more Supreme Court justices and overturning that decision. Easy.
Okay, then this brings back to violating the Constitution.
It's not a violation.
So if you appointed like 12 Supreme Court justices that just said like, okay, we're just gonna do whatever the Democratic Party says, are they really?
Yep.
But it's not a violation of the
Constitution.
Hey, you're talking about the immunity ruling, right? Because in the immunity ruling, they even some of the conservative justices in the immunity ruling said that some of the things that Trump did with regard to the Eastman scheme and all the false electors, that wouldn't be covered by immunity. So you can bring that case back and you can immediately throw him in prison. And I hope Americans do in 2028. But I don't think you can get there if you allow Vance to become president by indicting Trump first.
Well, okay, but hold on. So somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but with the pardon power, it's been argued that the pardon power is so vague and so unspecific within the the constitutional construction or whatever, that it is believed that the president actually does have the ability to pardon himself.
Hasn't been tested before. I don't think anyone really knows.
There's a loophole to that as well. Trump could just step down like the day before he leaves office, appoint J.D. Vance, and J.D. Vance could pardon him. I mean,
right. So
you know what? I agree. Actually, if we're going to be creative with loopholes, when Abrego Garcia was out of the country, the Trump admin ruled that once it's out of the country, this is out of the jurisdiction of any court to rule. So we should just throw Trump onto a fucking plane and we should fly him out of the country. Now we can do whatever the fuck we want, and he's beyond any court apparently, according to what he's arguing.
Technically, it's not us; it's whoever the fuck we're sending him to. But yeah, you're
right. Yeah, right. Yeah. My trebuchet idea comes back, but okay. But
send him to Venezuela.
No, do you guys understand how kind of fucked up this is to talk about? Like how we're going to?
Yes.
I'm sorry. Wait. What's fucked up? What's
fucked up? Like, do we think that it was good that they sent Abrego Garcia, even if he was guilty of every single thing that he's been accused of, to foreign soil so we could do whatever the fuck they wanted to him? No, it was obviously not good. So it's obviously not good, even if Trump is and he is guilty of every single thing, right? that is still something we should not do because it is wrong to do so. It is immoral.
Why was it wrong to do so? What's the difference between killing and murder?
You shouldn't
Lack
kill
of
Trump
justification.
either.
I'm not saying we should kill him, but I'm just saying that you're saying that when you do the same action in like physical time and space, then it's of the same moral equivalence.
I think in this case it would be to try to get around laws and civil protections that even Trump is protected by sending him to foreign soil, even if he did it himself, if he violated these laws himself, which he did. I think that is wrong to do.
The Constitution, we're just going to ignore it entirely and try to just prosecute him in like fucking Holland or something.
Who's saying fuck the Constitution? We're going by prior rulings. This is all legal according to the Trump admin, right?
Okay, but Dev, I actually
you would disagree with them.
But he's actually fine. Stephen's point isn't not to say fuck the Constitution, though, right? Like he's actually trying to work within the judiciary, right? You're saying you're trying to block all these avenues.
No,
he's
that's
saying, like,
not what he's saying. He's saying he wants to subvert it by going outside of the country, just like what the Trump administration.
No, he didn't. No. That came afterwards, though. Like, and your objection to him before, you were saying the same thing previously before you even mentioned that, right? But like having these trials wouldn't be a subversion of the Constitution. Even packing the courts wouldn't be a subversion of the Constitution. You can stretch the rules the way the Trump administration has stretched the rules, right, and still be perfectly within the bounds of the Constitution.
Well,
There we go.
I would still like to know how Dev is going to overcome the pardon power. Because Dev actually seems to be trying to like laser in on if this was possible, it would be good. You think that the midterms could give Democrats or never Trump Republicans or enough people, enough political capital in order to do this, and it would be good for the country if we do so. However, how do you circumvent the pardon?
Well, and when
they're trying to do it right now with AutoPen, so you just do the same thing, measure the signatures. Somebody accused them of probably using AutoPen, so there you go.
So when it comes to Trump, I do think you just have to let him be in office and then get him on the way out. Because if Vance gets into the seat, he will pardon Trump. In terms of other people, I honestly don't know.
We already brought up the self-pardon. He can either self-pardon or he can step down if he really thinks. Like let's say that Destiny is appointed like head of the DNC, and he's like, this is the Democratic priority. We will be prosecuting Trump on January 8th, 2028, right? So, or 2029. So if Stephen says that, then why wouldn't Trump step down day before? Like he could probably self-pardon, but if he can't self-pardon, why wouldn't you just have JD step down for a day, have JD Vance sign the pardon, call it a day?
I mean, either way, like you are entering into constitutional crisis territory where
I don't think so, because I don't think that's not a crisis of the pardon.
That doesn't violate any constitutional.
It doesn't violate the Constitution, but it certainly violates the spirit of the Constitution because you're allowing this guy to basically.
We're not throwing away a republic for violations of spirit of the Constitution.
Yeah.
No, nonetheless, though, this is the moment where now you have to start talking about political violence. I think. Like this is
right. Like what is the point of the Constitution?
Political violence.
The entire goal is basically just to subvert it
no longer
in order to achieve like your.
What a great question! What is the point of the Constitution if all you try to do is constantly subvert it to accomplish your political ends? That's a really good question.
Well, I don't know. I'm asking you that because that's what it feels like you're advocating for, Stephen.
You say that I'm advocating for that, and what I'm trying to make you guys understand is we're already there. That's already what's happening every single fucking day. Every single day, that's what's happening right now.
Do it too? You're accelerating
basically just saying fuck the Constitution.
It's already happening. What do you mean?
Just admit that you're just saying fuck the Constitution. We're just going.
No,
we're just trying to.
I like the Constitution, but the Constitution is already shredded. Do you acknowledge right now that we live in unconstitutional times?
Well, yeah.
Yes.
Okay, then the Constitution doesn't apply. What do you mean? There's no unilateral. Sort of. What do you mean by sort of?
There's testings of the Constitution. The Constitution is still in place. Like, we haven't. I don't think we've gotten to like a full blown constitutional crisis yet. We've basically thrown
how many articles need to be broken? How many amendments need to be broken? How many parts of the Constitution have to be broken before we're in unconstitutional? Is it every single word? Is it every single sentence? Is it all the section? Like how many parts of the Constitution have to be broken before we say that we're in unconstitutional times?
Like there aren't active cases. Like, so for instance, with the citizens who are being detained, hold on, with the citizens who are being detained by the Trump administration due to just being Hispanic, those cases are making it through the courts. And I actually would be surprised if they don't find a sympathetic judge eventually and have to award Hispanic citizens who have been detained merely for the element of being Hispanic millions of dollars. Okay. So acting like that
counterpoints. How about this?
Playing out is bullshit.
Here, how about this, okay? Let's say these cases go through, they get to the Supreme Court comes down against Trump, and then Trump and his administration say, fuck you, we're going to do what we want. Is it time for violence then?
Yeah, then it's time for violence, yeah.
Okay.
Jesus.
I think that you are closer to that point than you want to admit.
I think that Donald Trump. I think that there are plenty of people, particularly within law enforcement. I understand like ICE got blown up with like a huge budget and they're all Trump sycophants and loyalists and all that kind of stuff. I still think there's plenty of people who have joined the National Guard, who have joined federal law enforcement, who have joined the federal military, who take their oaths to the Constitution very seriously. So I don't think that Trump snaps his fingers and then all of a sudden we have 2 or 3 million security personnel who all are automatons for the Trump agenda. I think that's bullshit.
Wow.
Okay, we got some new people. I want to give them a chance.
I hope that's the case.
Yeah, we got.
I was gonna yell at you, Wick, for a minute, but okay, go.
Okay, you can yell at me later, buddy. Okay, we're gonna get some of the new people in. I know Kalinda and Purple Base Politics. I don't know how to say your name.
You almost got it, Wick.
Okay,
you could just say Riddell.
Well, Riddell.
It's fine.
Riddell. Okay, let's
Yeah,
give it
it's
to you guys. What do you got for us?
You can go first, Riddell.
All right. I mean, this is in regards to the super chat that I sent, and I kind of have smoke for you too, Wake. So my thing is, you brought up the consequence of the Republicans in terms of everything that they're doing, and we can imagine scenarios of it getting worse. Of course, is them losing the election,
Losing political power, losing influence, losing their ability to affect their will. Yes.
I like how he said losing the election, and you said losing the election like 3 different ways. That was based, by the way.
Yeah. But my thing is, Wick, though, in the situation we're talking about, where the only thing that is kind of keeping them at bay is losing the election, but then there's going to be an incentive later on, considering they won 2 elections with Trump being a historically terrible president. And of course, I'm sure you guys heard the murmurs, whether or not this is legally possible, of Steve Bannon talking about, we'll try to figure out if Trump can get a 3rd term. There is going to be that underlying
if he gets a 3rd term, my
going to try another strategy later on.
Sure. But again,
reacquire power.
My mind changes as soon as certain lines are crossed, and if he runs for a 3rd term, a line has been crossed, and my calculations change.
Have you ever driven? You ever do interstate driving? You know how like when the road is like really far in front of you and it's like sunny outside, you know like that weird like thing, the blurry thing above the road.
Wait,
you know what I'm talking about?
Heat.
Heat distortion.
That's the line, and every time you drive, it's weird because it never seems to get any closer.
What do you mean? It never seems to get any closer.
Could you imagine 5 years ago? Could you imagine 5 years ago?
Trump term. You guys
could you imagine 5 years ago? Somebody's like, "What do you think about a president running for a 3rd term?" You're like, "That's crazy. That's a deal breaker immediately." And you're like, well, if he said he was going to run for a 3rd term, if he flirted with it, if he made his political opponents come into the Oval Office while he had hats saying Trump should be elected for a 3rd term, and when his surrogates are arguing about running for a 3rd term, that's all okay. But if he would actually run, I think that would be the line for me. Do you think you would have ever made that statement 5 years ago?
5 years ago?
Because it's not. No. This is bullshit. Okay, and the reason why it's bullshit is because Bannon is a uniquely large piece of shit, and Mike Johnson, who is in charge of the House of Representatives, has said that he's not going to back a 3rd term. This shit is dead on the water. It's prohibited by the 12.
Johnson,
just because you're yelling doesn't mean that you're right about everything, Stephen. Oh, you know, get really loud.
I want to see that. No, I'm curious. You mean Johnson committed to a opposing Trump position? He said, I will not support Trump for a 3rd term. He actually said that. That'd be curious. Number one. Yes. Number 2, Bannon is not a random. You understand that Bannon was chiefly involved with the Trump campaign in 2016 and was literally the author of the creator of Breitbart and was whispering in Trump's ear through up through 2020 as well, right? So it's not like Bannon's a random dude.
And Steve Bannon is a fucking schizo who has lost a lot of his political capital. As a matter of fact, you can go ahead and find a clip fairly recently where he said, we really need somebody like Trump in office in 2028 or else people like me are going to prison or going to jail. Steve Bannon has lost his cachet compared to...
the worst...
I found it. The worst... Just real quick, because I did find the actual quotation. He said there is no path for a 3rd Trump term. He doesn't see the path for such a move. And it is barred under the Constitution. And he just said, well, there's the 22nd Amendment. It's been a great run, but I think the president knows, and he and I have talked about the constrictions of the Constitution. That's what he said.
He did not say he would not support him because he would support him, and you do it lovingly.
So,
and Bannon did allude to the fact that they were looking
just hold on. Just let Randall finish his point, right? Did I answer your question, by the way, Randall? Randall?
I mean,
Radell,
you
sorry.
said you're the threat. Riddell, yeah, it's fine. You're good. It's not a big deal. So, I mean, you kind of did in terms of you said there is a line, and the line is him running a third term.
Well, there are other lines too, but that's the one that comes to mind, right?
But that's where I have to question how is the accumulation of so much of the things that MAGA has alluded to that they plan to do, as well as things that they've already done, not already flirting with the idea that there should be some type of consequence.
Look,
that's
we are both
confusion
wanting consequences. We both just want different scale of consequences, right? Do you agree with Destiny that we should bar 25% of elected Republican officials from office if we win?
In my world, it'd be like
50%, 75%, whatever fucking crazy number he's dreaming up. Do you agree with that?
No, I don't agree to that because you need something substantive to make such an assertion.
Okay.
But,
so you can convince me just real quick. You could convince me for some sort of other consequence. I'm open to that. I came into this conversation again in the context of the President of the United States, and let's be clear, calling for sitting Congress members to be hanged by the neck until they were dead. And I was like, oh shit, maybe I'm actually going to agree with Destiny today. And then didn't take long, and I was like, oh no, Destiny's fucking crazy again. And now I have to disagree.
I bet Destiny's going to be on board with the idea that, like, man, these guys need some consequences. What are the consequences? They're going to lose their elections. Wow. That's crazy.
Penultimate
crazy consequences.
My thing's related to this, Wick. My thing's related to this.
None of you, hold on, all of you twats are super loud, yapping, including Destiny. None of you have explained how you're actually going to impose consequences. None of you have actually
given the explanation. Use the 14th Amendment.
The closest person.
Use the 14th Amendment. The 14th Amendment says
he doesn't have a way to circumvent the pardon.
The 14th Amendment doesn't require a criminal conviction. Boom. Pardon circumvented. The 14th Amendment says that if you have been engaged in insurrection against the United States, you are a prior oath taker, you are no longer allowed to hold office. That's it. Easy.
How is it determined?
Well, Donald Trump isn't allowed to hold office anyway.
How is it determined? It's somebody, whoever
targeting are not engaged.
Okay. Hold on.
It's adjudicated. You allow the states to adjudicate it. Allow the states to adjudicate it.
I'll amend my previous statement. There are specific politicians who were involved in January 6, 2021. I think that Josh Hawley...
But the states figured out.
No. I think Josh Hawley might have actually been texting Stop the Steal representatives and Proud Boy members during the riots. So anybody who was engaged in January 6, 2021, I'll take that all day. Yeah, sure. Charge them with insurrection, bar them from office. I'm good with that. I don't think that you're going to get the entire MAGA base. That's an insane proposition.
Yeah, but that was someone was asking a good question. How do you determine someone's done an insurrection? You have to get a
It's up to the states to determine that, however they want to do it.
So
most of the states don't want
governor
in every court where the question was asked, Trump was adjudicated as having engaged in insurrection. It happened in Colorado. It happened when there was a politician that was barred for running for office, I believe, in New Mexico, and it happened in the Senate when they voted by a majority to convict Trump of insurrection. They didn't get enough to get the actual conviction, which I think is 60. And in the House, they voted overwhelmingly that he had engaged in insurrection. So in every forum where it's been adjudicated, they've said he has engaged in insurrection. So I don't know. Leave it up to the states to figure it out. There's not a specific mechanism laid out.
Wasn't Colorado
okay, Stephen, I want you to
Colorado was overturned because the Supreme Court said we think that the 14th Amendment is bullshit. Correct. So we would need to bring the 14th Amendment back.
The state of Texas basically declared that Kamala Harris engaged in insurrection or whatever bullshit charge they want to make up. You would then support the state of Texas not allowing Kamala to run on a Texas ticket.
They have the right to do that.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just a race to the
they would
bottom.
have to prove it. At the end of the day, there has to be some level of proving that situation. But in terms of
I'm sorry, real quick. I just don't want to cut you off. You guys think you're so clever when you're like, would you care if Republicans did this thing? And I'm like, yeah. Do you think they're just waiting for Democrats to do it first? Like, who are Democrats shipping off extrajudicially to other countries in order because they were too lazy to enforce immigration law properly? Like, how many crypto scams were Democrats running prior to Donald Trump running a crypto scam? How many different, you're acting like the Republicans are just waiting. Look at Donald Trump begging them to get rid of the filibuster. And the only reason that he didn't do it is because he probably thought it wasn't politically tenable. You're acting like the Republicans are waiting for the Democrats to do it first. This is the game they play, and you've fallen for their tricks.
Yeah, so, I mean, I the thing I wanted to agree that I I don't want to agree with Stephen on anything. But this idea of like this endlessly moving mirage that he was the metaphor he was setting up there, right? This like moving mirage of like unconstitutionality when we've entered the point where like the Constitution has been burned, right? Like how much of the Constitution has to be violated? How many times it has to be violated until we have discovered, oh, we're in an authoritarian state or a fascist state? Like there is no point. Like we're waiting for for it to be like in the movies, right? For it to be black and white, and then you see like troops lined up on every corner, right? Well, asking people for papers. I guess we're already doing that, right? Like we are harassing citizens, right, and some non-citizens everywhere they go, just because for what they look like, and asking for the papers. We're already doing that part, so that's happening, right?
We've already got bullshit indictments. We've got the DOJ charging people with crimes.
Yeah.
Call me Letitia James. We already have that happening.
But you understand how every single hold on, just real quick. Every single thing that you are listing here, the Republicans, and I agree, this justification is bullshit, are pointing to past actions of other people on the Democratic side.
You said it quick. You got it. It was bullshit. It's all bullshit anyway. Yes,
no, but you understand, if we don't do these things, they have less justification and it's less likely they will succeed.
But they'll do it anyway.
Okay.
No, that's bullshit. That's the flaw in your argument, is that the success rate would be the exact same if we gave them ammo versus if we gave them no ammo.
It doesn't.
It absolutely matters.
There's been a clear level of escalation, right? Like from the first Trump term, from the Bush administration, there's been a clear level of escalation, and there's been no correction mechanism. I agree. I would also apply that to Democrats, right? I would also say they've been pushing like the War Powers Act as far as they can get away with it too, right? I would say that they like build on to what Republicans are doing, but still, in any case, right? There's been no level of correction, and so if that's the case, we have to at some point introduce a correction. They're going to do it any which way. The next Republican president is going to do something worse. It's guaranteed.
No, it's not guaranteed. It is not guaranteed.
Wait. I got a question for you, just real quick.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm done.
I got a question for you, Wick. Just So you said their punishment is that they lost the election. That's the punishment for the Republicans.
That's the main one, the major one. And now again,
okay,
I can be hold on, just real quick. I can be convinced for more. Like I do think we should prosecute Trump specifically. I do think that. But when you're talking about prosecuting Marco Rubio, for what?
Okay, so here's my question, okay? If someone was raping you, is it an appropriate punishment that they have to pull their dick out of you?
No.
You use something more than that, right?
Yes.
Something more than just them pulling their dick out of you, right?
Yes.
Yes.
But you know what?
Yeah.
Rape is not the same as holding office, usually.
How are you? I've asked this before. I'll ask this again. It's actually genuinely pissing me off. How, when the presidency has the pardon power, how are you going to effectuate your alleged punishment?
Okay, I'll answer that. I will answer that directly. Okay.
You will not. I will answer
how. I will answer directly. Boom. If your political leaders are so morally degenerate that they're going to pardon themselves, you are outside of the bounds of the Constitution now. You are in violence time.
And what state crimes are you going to be
convicting? Hold on, just real quick. No, I want to be very clear. So, Dev, if you think that if J.D. Vance pardons Trump or if Trump pardons himself, that it would be justified to do violence against the U.S. government.
Walks away from power, we should start
killing Make Dev answer that question. Dev, if J.D. Vance pardons Trump or Trump pardons himself, do you think that we are now in a time where there would be justifiable violence against Trump and his administration?
Yes.
Damn. Okay.
That's crazy.
I disagree.
He just Fed posted like crazy.
My issue with this is that I feel like there's also not a recognition, if we're going to use the cachet that what you're referring to in terms of the people being super dissatisfied with Trump, we can also use that in other ways as well as the growing sentiment from the people on the Democratic side. And now the Republicans can't go back in the past and use this as ammunition. When it comes down to the pardon circumstance, now there is actual justifiable reason why we probably should deal with it, especially if we're doing self-pardoning. The people are starting recognizing, oh, yeah, sure, we have issues with the preemptive pardons from Biden. We have big issues with Donald Trump pardoning himself, pardoning the Jan Sixers, and pardoning all these corrupt politicians and these weird billionaires, the guy with the Binance. So now this is becoming more of a thing that is becoming recognized, and now there's heat on both directions. So in a circumstance like this, not only with the pardon system, but even something that I don't really care what you feel about it, but with the filibuster, another example where there's a lot of people on the left that was like, we want to get rid of the filibuster. Trump obviously wants to get rid of the filibuster because he wants to do whatever he wants as an executive authoritarian. But this is just another thing that's like, oh, we saw how it was used. It was used in a way that was super corrupt by the Trump administration. So now certain things that have been deliberated regarding the political landscape can now truly be challenged, not only from the sides that have dissatisfaction with it, but with the people now seeing how they can be used in a corrupt fascist way. So it's not just them losing elections, but now you can raise these issues in a way to not only use it against the authoritarian regime that is MAGA, but they can't even go back on it because they use these type of arguments to attack the Dems at the same time. So you have now a full picture of framing it very clearly on why we should attack these specific things.
Okay, the solution to I'm sorry if I'm not addressing what you just said, but the solution to pardon abuse would be legislation amending the Constitution to limit the power of the pardon. It wouldn't be for militias to enter into the streets, sparking off a civil war that kills tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, or millions of people. The fact that like that would be the constitutional crisis that I'm talking to Dev mostly. The fact that you think that would be the constitutional
right
crisis
now. He can't hear a word you're saying.
Is fucking crazy.
Do you understand he's deafened right now? He can't hear. You can't. You didn't hear a word you just said.
I kind of don't give a fuck. I just wanted to stand up.
I do want to give. I do want to give Kalinda a chance because Kalinda hasn't said a word. And Kalinda, do you have anything for us?
Yeah, I do. Also, before I get into yelling at Prime, because that's what I came in here to do, but the Trump the Georgia prosecution case, it's coming back. It's coming back, guys. It's here. It's they're bringing that back. Do you think that could mean or count for anything? Like the racketeering case in Georgia?
As a fellow Coomer to the DA there, I cannot believe that they let that case get sunk on that retarded fucking shit. So fuck Georgia. Okay, that's all I got to say. We'll see what it comes back as, but I feel like at this point that it's so far removed from everything. I cannot believe they let something so stupid still that case.
They appointed a new prosecutor, but yes, I agree with you. It was very stupid.
Okay, what did you have for Prime?
Prosecutor, so anyway, Prime. I'm very sorry that I'm about to derail this whole shit back into the thing that nobody wanted to talk about.
Hold on, if you're gonna bring up Israel Palestine, I'm gonna veto this.
What?
Just say you're not gonna do it.
Yes, okay, I'm not gonna bring up Israel Palestine.
Okay. Do you have anything else other than Israel Palestine?
No, that's not what I was gonna bring up. Prime, do you understand the difference between the ships and Biden's alleged crimes? Between like Trump bombing drug boats and Biden's alleged crimes, can you think for me for just a second?
No, I don't. No, I don't understand them. No, I don't understand them. Like, these aren't the same things? Please help me out. Like, draw the distinction. Please go ahead.
What crimes would you consider Biden to be like violating with the
nothing? Don't answer that.
Under Biden.
No, yeah, don't. I already know what the answer is that he's going to give, but I think it's bullshit. The thing is, here's the difference. The difference is that Trump is bombing civilian ships against a country that he is not at war with, violating the principle of distinction instead of arresting people for drug trafficking, which he could do, rather than like bombing people that they are not at war with. And Biden is sending weapons to a country that is fighting a war that is a very different kind of war than the one that would likely be fought in Venezuela, which would be a normal, regular war against another army. And he's sending those weapons to Israel so that Israel can fight against Hamas, which is a organization that hides behind civilians. But you probably don't agree with this because they
hide behind civilians. Okay, sure.
Yeah, because you like to pretend that Hamas doesn't exist.
There was a Hamas. No, I'm not pretending Hamas doesn't exist. I brought Hamas up during the debate, okay? But you weren't paying attention to that, right? You heard Palestine. You heard Palestine. You heard Palestine. You went into a red rage, right? But I brought up Hamas, absolutely, right? And so I guess Hamas was under every baby's cribs that they dropped that bomb on, right? Like
they killed every baby in Palestine. Holy shit! All the babies,
right?
Every single one,
Hamas,
every child.
Headquarters, right? And they were dropping bunker busters shelters on those kids, right, to kill those Hamas agents. No, don't bullshit me. No, we get what Israel is doing.
Wait,
It's
why would you
fine
need a
if
bunker
you
buster to
need
kill a
to.
kid?
It's fine if you.
Prime,
It's
why
fine
are there
if you.
why are there no
It's fine
bomb
if you.
shelters in
Okay.
Gaza?
Just like
Okay.
Just
Okay.
like us,
Okay.
Stephen.
Okay. Enough.
Wait.
Enough.
No, no,
Enough.
no, no,
Enough.
no,
Enough.
no,
Enough.
no.
Don't worry.
I'm curious. What is the answer to that? Wait. Why are there no bomb shelters in Gaza? What was the
Why
answer to
aren't
that?
civilians allowed in the Hamas tunnels?
So I don't know what you're talking about.
I can feel Wick's blood
say that again,
pressure
please?
like rising slowly.
Wait, I'm just curious. What's the answer? Wait, are there really no bomb shelters in Gaza? Is that true?
No.
Wouldn't it be kind of crazy? Prime, is that true? There's
Yeah.
no way
Wait,
that's true,
what's
right?
the consequence of them bringing up Israel-Palestine?
This is the
Nothing. I'm just
consequence
curious.
of
Wait,
that.
I'm just curious. What's the answer to that? Wait,
This is all
Prime,
we
is she
talk
speaking
about.
truth there?
It's the prime
Why
effect.
are there no
Prime
why are there no
exists,
bomb
and then
shelters in
Israel Palestine
Gaza?
don't just come up.
I'm confused as to like what the point of this question. I'm very confused. There's no
Answer the
bomb
goddamn
shelter at all. There
question.
might be. No, hon. What's the question? The question is
Why
there
are
bomb
there no
shelters
bomb shelters in Gaza?
in
Why did
Gaza?
Hamas
Right, like
build
recently?
no bomb shelters
Well, if-
for their
If
civilians?
that's the case, that might be because of the embargo that's been there since, was it 2012? Yeah.
Wait, how do
can't
they have all this?
actually
Wait,
build.
how do they have all
They
that? Wait,
can't
I'm just curious.
actually.
Fucking tunnels.
Wait, yeah, I'm just curious because I don't know anything about this. Wait,
Hamas
why do they have
tunnels
so
that
much
can
concrete
fit
for tunnels?
a massive population of people, like was it 2 million individuals? Yeah, those tunnels, everyone's going to fit in those tunnels. Is that what's going to happen? How many people
How many
fit in
miles
the
of tunnel do they have again? Is it just half a mile? Is it 1 mile?
It's
Well,
like
like,
four.
who
It's
knows?
like
Wick, you
it's
deserve
Okay.
this.
a lot.
Yep.
Everyone's
Okay.
going to
Okay.
fit in those
You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to build a wall. I'm going to build a very strong wall. Kalinda, thanks for coming in. I do appreciate you. Thanks, Raydale. Thanks, North. We're going to
I
cycle
will
out.
probably argue with you about this later, Prime, because you trigger me so fucking.
We can
hard.
have a whole debate. You guys can have a whole debate later, and I'll set it
Come
up.
to my channel.
I'd love to
I'll
talk
show
to you
you.
about
Don't worry.
this.
Bye bye. Okay.
Okay.
Whatever.
I did have more questions if you're okay with them. If you're all right with that.
Hello.
No, we're not okay with questions here. Fuck your questions. That's how I go ahead.
Oh, okay.
What's your question? Ask.
Yeah, I have I guess my question's for Connor. I mean, I have two, but I'll start with the bigger one. What do we do to ensure that like Republicans don't, or like anyone doesn't do what Trump has been doing, if not some level of atonement, right? Like if we don't have some level of atonement, what's to just stop this from happening again?
Yeah, so I think that this is the way that I would like to spend political capital. Number one, so somebody's arguing with me in chat, so I'll try to answer it real quick. Congress can't, let's say in 2026, we actually get a Democrat majority Congress. You can impeach Trump. You could also even indict him. I know that people have said that through the unitary executive ruling, he can't be indicted. No, he can. The Constitution clearly says so. So that's number one. Number two, what do? You would have to pass legislation in order to reform the pardon. So
Wait, just a quick thing. We would impeach Trump after he's done with his second term in office. That's the penalty.
No, you would impeach him in 26 when you hit the midterms. He's still in office. He's just a lame
We're not
duck.
going to have a majority. We won't have a majority in the Senate to do it.
Well, then I guess you're fucked.
Also, doesn't this seem a bit Trump exclusive? Again, like what's to stop someone from just coming in the next presidency and doing a bunch of fucked up shit and like even like rigging elections so they don't have the majority, for example?
They will
So
anyway.
kind
Is
of
the
like,
point.
This
The
is where I
Republicans will
don't-
do this
real
anyway.
quick, he's asking me the question, and I actually do have limited time again because now my debate is coming
Is
up
this
again.
for real
So-
time?
So hold on.
Limited time?
So this time for real. So when it comes to like, what can we do in the future? We're a republic, which is the rule of law, which means we have to pass legislation. So if you don't like the pardon, you got to pass the pardon. And one of the things that's been pissing me off about this conversation is people are saying, oh, well, they're ignoring the court orders or whatever. I don't think so. As far as I'm concerned, I'm pretty sure that a shitload of court orders have come down that have limited the power of the presidency and have been followed by the executive administration.
So you can break
This
the
is
law
the
as long as you listen to the court when they do. Stop breaking
This
the
is the other thing I
law.
want to
There
push
is the
back
dick
on, too.
analogy. The dick
Destiny is
analogy.
mad
That was right.
that you
Wait, this
Destiny
is the other thing I want to
mad.
push back
You
on.
just
Like,
gotta pull
national
out.
stuff.
Destiny is angry by the concept of time that you have to violate a law in order to be held accountable
Wait,
for
this is
a
the
law.
other thing that I want to
That's
push
how
back on.
law
before.
Wait, just to be
National
clear,
That's how
Connor's
time
mad
works.
because he doesn't know what courts are for. He thinks that you're allowed to break the law as long as you stop breaking the law when the court tells you to stop breaking the law. That's not how that works.
Or the court can hold you criminally accountable if you violated the law intentionally and knowingly.
Which they've done how many times to Trump now?
They've done
With
it
the National
0
Guard
times.
especially.
Yeah, hold on. What do you think your strongest argument
Administration
here is here for
Sorry, Storm
Trump
had a
during his second
question, so I'm
term?
gonna address it.
Is Trump during his second term? When do you think he has most clearly, knowingly used his executive power in a way that he knew he didn't have the authority to do so?
the National Guard, right? I mean, like, it's blatantly illegal to send the National Guard. No matter
Well, okay,
what,
what's your evidence that he
without,
did not know that he did not have the
Well,
authority
first of all,
to?
Destiny brought up earlier the Black Lives Matter stuff where he wasn't able to deploy the National Guard without the state's
True.
consensus. By the way, this is established in Title 32, which explains the exemptions, none of which is met, because Trump originally said he's going to do it for domestic law enforcement, which is legal according to the Posse Committees Act, which means that Trump knowingly was violating this stuff. That's the thing I want to bring up. You cannot deploy the National Guard without the federal government, without the state government's consent.
Actually, I have a question for you regarding that.
That's already wrong.
I see a lot of right wingers talk about how Eisenhower federalized the National Guard to enforce desegregation against the will of the Arkansas governor. So what was the
reason that is because I had a debate in my college around this, so I was doing research on this. So you can do it. There's 3 conditions. You can do it if the U.S. is being invaded, there's a rebellion or danger of rebellion, or if the president is unable to enforce federal law. The issue is none of these apply because why Trump deployed the National Guard to blue cities is because of
because he's unable to enforce the federal law in sanctuary cities, right? Because sanctuary cities are keeping
that's not why he deployed it. He deployed it because he cited crime as the primary reason. Then he hasn't even retroactively changed it. He's still been talking about crime rates in D.C., Chicago, L.A. That's why he said he deployed the National Guard.
And here's the thing, though. All of the courts have come back effectively saying exactly what you said.
Which states?
Hold on. He can federalize the National Guard. He has used rebellion as a pretense.
Wait, why do you keep saying that? He's lost like every time there's been a challenge. He lost in California. He lost in
Google
DC.
the word pretense because you've used it incorrectly multiple times. So, anyways,
wait, what do you think?
He's used the pretense of rebellion, and then the courts have come back and said the only way that you can use federalized National Guard, you can't use them for local law enforcement. You can only use them to protect federal buildings. That's
why did he say he was sending them to DC?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. The reason he said he was sending them
in court,
it does matter because that would be the justification for deploying the National Guard. The reason,
the pretense of rebellion.
That's not what he said.
You can't change the argument in
law
court.
Enforcement.
You can't just go to court and say,
hold on. Wait. Where did I hear? What large political streamer did I hear say, I don't care what people say in public. I only care what people say in court.
Because in court,
there's a famous liberal streamer who said that probably a dozen times.
That's when you're the plaintiff. It's a totally different thing. When Donald Trump goes to court, when Donald Trump goes to court to defend a thing, I've never said that you can't look at a person's public statements to determine the things that the state of mind of the person at the time. That's a lot different than me saying, like, I think Connor has defamed me a million times over every single statement he's made. And then when I sue you and I go to court, I say, well, I don't think he's defamed me, but I think he inflicted emotional harm, right? Okay, well, I'm going to get your court statements here. That's what you're charging him with. That's what you're suing him for. That's a lot different than me going to court and saying, oh, I only did this for reasons ABC. That's really crazy because when we consult the public record, you were saying X, 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 Y, 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 Z, 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 Z. So it seems like it doesn't work there. It's not even remotely comparable. Nice try, though.
It's like if you stab someone. It's like if you stab someone and then say...
So hold on.
If
Trump makes a public statement that we all agree is in the legal purpose in violation of the Posse Comitatus Act, I agree with you. But he uses in court...
No, he doesn't.
The pretense of rebellion. You should Google the word pretense.
That's not how that works. You can't retroactively say this is why I'm deploying the National Guard.
And then the court orders the Trump administration to behave in a certain way, and then they comply with said order. That's the system working.
Connor, if I stab you, Connor, if I stab you and then retroactively say, "Oh, well, it's because I was scared of you attacking me," that doesn't change the fact that I stabbed you because I wanted to kill you.
Yeah, but hold on, no. You're wrong because that's the defense people use. Like, I thought I was going to be killed, so I stabbed him.
State of mind when you did the action.
If at the time,
state of the mind when you do the action.
Yes, exactly. If I say at the time, I'm going to stab Wick because I fucking hate Wick and I think he's too much of a centrist cuck on these panels, and then we go to court and I say, well, I was actually afraid of my life. What do you think the prosecutor's going to say? They're going to say, well, really? Let's look at the statements that you made at the time. Oh, it looks like you said you were going to kill him because you thought he was too mean to you on panels.
But when the court comes around and says you can only stab Wick when he's being like, I don't know, when he's threatening your life, and then from now on you only stab me when I threaten your life, you're complying with the order. You're fine.
This was established before. This is already established. This is precedent. This isn't like a
I gotta
precedent
go.
thing.
If you guys want to continue this another time, we can. However, what I would point out to you guys is that the courts are the ones that are supposed to hold you to account. So if you have beef with the way that our system is working, take a beef with the judges, take a beef with the legislature.
No,
Those are the
no,
people who are supposed to be
no,
holding
no.
Donald Trump
The
to
way that it
account
works
right
in the
now.
United
Just
States.
follow the law.
The way that it works in the United States.
Bye.
Follow
Bye.
the law. Follow the law. Follow the law.
He ran.
You're not supposed to
Okay.
wait. You're not supposed to wait for the court to say, by the way, you're breaking the law. This isn't Dave Chappelle where you can go, I didn't know you couldn't do that, and you're scot-free the first time.
Also, this
Sorry,
is already,
then-
Wick,
Why are
this
we
has already been
treating-
established
why
as
are we
my
treating the
issue.
fucking- Why are we
Sorry,
treating
one
the
at a time.
Constitution
Melody,
daily
one at a
word
time. Go
jumble?
ahead. Go ahead. One of you.
I wanted to come in. Hey, it's Kafka. Hey, I wanted to come in. I want to defend the Nuremberg trials as being constitutional real quick. There's a lot of people talking about how we have to come in and do a bunch of unconstitutional shit to hold Trump and them accountable. And there's plenty of room within the Constitution to do exactly what Destiny's calling for. All right. That's all I wanted to come in to say. You can go the Congress, if we had 67% of the Congress, they could come in, they could establish courts, they could establish laws that allow us to go after these people. So it's not, and we'd actually do it in a way where we're not breaking the Constitution, tearing it to ribbons like all these people are talking about. That's all I came in really to say, is that there's nothing in here. You guys all are acting like doing it would be somehow the same as what the Republicans are doing, and it's not. We'd be able to do it within the law easily.
Do you think that what Destiny's advocating for? Hold on, just real quick. Do you think what Destiny's advocating for, where we bar 50 to 75% of sitting Republican people, current office holders, from ever holding office again, is that a constitutional thing to do?
Yep.
Sure. So here's what you would do.
Yep.
You'd have
Yes,
the
we
Congress
can.
come in.
Right.
Yes.
Kick him out. Kick him out. Kick him
As
out.
we should.
You would get the Congress to come in, and you would have them write a law that says that they can't, that these people, if they did these things, they can't hold office.
So you want the Republican controlled Congress right now to write a law saying that they can't hold power? Or do you think that's a reasonable
I'm
act?
sorry. Are we talking about right now? I'm sorry. I thought we were talking about a world in which
Sure.
we're
Okay,
trying
we
to hold people
get to a
accountable.
world where the Democrats win the election and we blue sweep. We got 60 seats in the Congress and things like that. Do you think that there's any political will for them to write this law?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes,
I think
of course, yes. What are you talking about?
that is
Yes.
crazy talk. I don't think that's ever going to
Wait,
happen.
you think that in 4 years? You think that it hasn't even been a year yet? You think in 3 plus a few months years? By the time we get to that point with Donald Trump in there that long, you don't think there's going to be the political will to do that? You think people are going to go?
No, I don't think that there's going to be a political will to bar Republicans, 75% of Republicans, from ever holding office again.
We're mixing
the only real problem
we're
here
mixing the whole list of things. Hold on, wait a minute.
Yeah, go
like
ahead.
whether you can do this, right? Of whether it's constitutional or not, right? It's not unconstitutional. Yeah. I agree, right? But like then it's like, well, will there be political will to do this? Well, that's a completely different animal, right? And should we do this? Which is another.
Yes, you should do it. Yes, absolutely. Unequivocally, you should fucking do it.
I don't think we should do what. I don't think we should do
where you draw the line.
I don't think we should do what Steven is proposing. But if we're talking about like holding the top line Trump administration accountable, absolutely.
Well,
Okay, but they're not just talking. Hold on, no, they're not just talking about the like Trump and JD Vance and the immediate thing. What they're advocating for is people who run, like our state senator who happened to tweet out Trump is great one time, right?
Easy. That's an easy one. You're giving me easy ones. That's an
Yeah,
easy. Get him
I'm
out
sorry.
of here.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think that there's political will to do that.
McCarthyism for MAGA. All right, bring McCarthyism back and target MAGA. That's what we need to do.
I think that's a bit unhinged just because I feel like supporting Trump isn't the same thing as actively having power to do it. But I would say that, look, Wick, again, and I asked the same question to Primecayes and Wick, what do we do to prevent like this happening again? It seems like absent some kind of atonement, which means if it's
they lose the election.
Yes, if they consistently lose elections where they behave a certain way, they will stop behaving that certain way. Absolutely, that's 101.
Well, wait, if they lose the election, what do we do then to hold them to it? If we show, hey, look, you lost, and that's it, that's all we do. We say, haha, you lost, and that'll show them to never do it again.
Remember when Trump lost the first time and then they stopped?
You remember when they lost the first time, and then we continued to prosecute them over and over and over again, looking, investigating it over and over and over again, and how that obviously worked, and they never held power again? Wait, that didn't happen. In fact, it led to the exact opposite of what's happening. You are advocating for doing what led to Trump getting elected in 2024 all over again. And thinking, oh, somehow we're gonna have a different outcome. It's crazy.
I appreciate the internal critique. You can't replace
Wait, the mistake was
something
not
with
doing it
nothing,
fast
Wick.
enough.
Give me something else to do then, because I'm not going to sit there with nothing. You're telling me to not do this thing. Okay, great. Instead,
okay, just to be clear, instead of barring 75% of Republicans from office, what I'm advocating for is for us to be fucking normal, and then suddenly we will win elections, beat them at the ballot box, and keep this from ever happening again. Because if we engage in this,
what could Biden have done differently? That he wasn't normal enough.
well, first of all, Biden couldn't have dropped
That's
out. Like if he had
genocide. That would've
stayed
been
in, I think
helpful.
we would have won. But that's one.
Sorry,
Oh
this
my
genocide
God.
thing is insane. What law did Biden break? What law did Biden break?
Biden didn't break
With
any
Biden-
laws.
No, I'm asking Primecayes because he brought the
Oh.
genocide thing. What law did Biden break?
Don't you dare fucking bring this back, this fucking bullshit again. Jesus fucking Christ.
Okay, if you don't want to do it, we don't have to do it.
Yeah, we
I
don't
just
have
know
to
what
do
law
that.
Biden broke.
Any which way you asked me
Okay,
previously,
we won't do that.
right?
We won't do it then. It's fine. I don't want to.
Sure. I know. Sure. Shut up, glasses guy. Before you asked me previously, hey, like, like you were asking me, like, do I agree with Wick basically? Like, am I against something? You asked me something previously.
I think I asked you probably the same question I asked Connor about, like, what do we do to prevent this from happening again, which is how we got to this whole conversation.
Okay, yeah. So, like I'm saying, I am for accountability for our elected officials. Absolutely. My disagreement with Destiny purely is within scale, right? Not that we shouldn't hold elected officials accountable. I'm saying I want to hold more, right? But I'm talking about more of the C-suite of our political class, right? I'm talking about the president, and I'm talking about yeah.
I don't fully disagree.
Every single one of these every single one of these people are using Trump to push their own insane agendas. Like, why are we in 2025 talking about putting like the what is it called, the Bible thing in the classrooms? Why are we putting Bibles in classrooms? Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, that's not new.
Why are
This
we
is
putting the
something
Ten
they've been doing
Commandments
for all my fucking life. Okay?
It doesn't matter. They're still they're using this opportunity to pass insane laws. Like we just saw what the Department of Education saying that like being a nursing student is no longer like a valid degree. Like what is like why are we at this point? How did we get here?
You're bringing up a good point too, in that these people are abusing their positions, and yes, we're going to hold them to account as elected officials, get them out of there. But also, we should hold them account as citizens and as people who are clearly breaking the law and clearly acting in a way against what their responsibilities are. If you are a lawyer, if you're a fiduciary of people, you can be held accountable for not just breaking that fiduciary duty, but doing crimes beyond that, and that's what we're seeing here.
Okay, well, let me ask you directly. Let me ask you, Kafka. Let me ask you directly. Do you think that if a lawyer comes on a YouTube channel, right, or starts a YouTube channel and advocates that Trump is breaking no laws, he's doing fine, he's not going against the courts, do you think anything should happen? How should they be held accountable?
If he defends Trump, yeah, he should get out of there.
They should be prevented. They should be prevented from holding
So
office.
you think that a lawyer who comes on and starts let's just call him
I don't agree with that.
Brian Mullally, right, comes on and starts a YouTube channel, you would advocate for his disbarment?
Wait, which
I
guy?
never said that. I would not advocate for the disbarment.
Let's just call him Brian Mullally, some made-up name.
Absolutely, 1 trillion percent. Oh my God, 1,000 million trillion quadrillion percent. Oh my God, so much.
Wait, can I ask you a question?
Disbarment. No. I would advocate for him to not hold a public office. That's fine.
Okay, so hold on. You would ban him from running for office because he went and he defended Trump on some of these things that you think he shouldn't be defended on.
Look, this is my starting position. If you want to negotiate down lower at some point, that's fine. But I'm starting with MAGA supporter out. All right, that's where we're at. And then you know what? If we need to see what the political will is at in the country to see what we can get done, that's fine.
That's insane, dude. Position. You understand that's an insane thing.
It's not insane.
They're calling for the death of my representatives. The president is calling for the death of my representative.
Okay, the president is these lawyers
in charge of the government is calling for the death of my representative, and it's insane.
You think that everybody that supports him in Congress calling for the death of people should be held accountable? How stupid are you? Oh my God.
Wait, in question. Okay, you said just be normal. Biden was normal, and Biden won after Trump's whole thing in the first term, and after January 6th, we've had Biden. What did Trump suffer from that? He came right back into office. What does being normal get us? Because Trump came back after doing the worst thing.
Hold on. This is such a fucking dishonest thing to say, as if there was no other circumstances that were happening during the 2024 election, which made it an outlier. There wasn't massive inflation where Every single incumbency across the world lost. You weren't asking we didn't push out. Hold on, in an unprecedented. Let me finish. In an unprecedented move, we pushed out. We pushed out our major candidate as if it was just a normal election and Trump won because they were doing normal things. What are you on about? There was nothing normal about the 2020 election.
It's okay for insurrectionists to be voted back in because there's inflation.
Why do you think? I think this is okay. It's not okay. Yep. But my whole argument is that your argument here, what you're advocating for, is going to lose. And I don't want to lose. I want to win. And you can be all high and mighty. I don't know, where are you from? India? I don't care. Right? It's not America, right? And you don't have to suffer the consequences that we do.
That seems pretty racist.
If we want to win, if we want to win, shouldn't we copy the people who are winning? Shouldn't we copy their strategy?
Hey, they're not winning though. They had the lowest approval ratings
You're
I think
Indian,
you've
but
ever
are you
seen.
are you Indian? You're in London.
Second election.
I'm American. I'm
okay, but wait. Wick, you said we need to be normal. Do you think that Kamala Harris's campaign was not overwhelmingly normal?
It was not. Do you know why? It's because she wasn't the candidate initially. We pushed out that candidate, and then we got her in 3 months before the election. There was nothing normal about that.
Does it not count as her being the candidate by being the VP?
Abnormal appointment processes, it doesn't count. Basically, if anything goes wrong, so not only does it have to be that they have to be super normal, there can't be any irregularities. Also, by the way, imagine how the rest of the world looks at the United States. If anything is going wrong in the United States, they're going to elect a fucking schizo to office. It's like dealing with a drunk cop at a traffic stop. You make one wrong fucking move, the guy's going to execute you. Are you crazy, Wick?
There's not one fucking wrong move or one little inconsistency. These were major issues.
So I agree with. My point is nothing held Trump accountable. My point is, despite doing January 6th and losing because of his handling of COVID and all that, nothing held him accountable because he still managed to come back under the right conditions. My point is, he shouldn't be able to come back with the right conditions.
Okay, my argument here is that your advocacy creates the conditions of which we'll have another
I'm not
Trump.
as extreme as Destiny. I don't know what you mean by my advocacy. I think that Trump and the cabinet and.
So Wick, you're acting like this hasn't been done before, right? But it has been done before because 1954 they passed the Communist Control Act. You cannot be a member of the Communist Party.
Famously,
USA.
communism died in America.
Wait, also,
are they currently controlling the government?
Hold on.
From office or no?
Say one more time.
After the Civil War, should we bar people from office or no? Because that'll just mean the South will get even more mad at us.
Hold on. We're talking about after a Civil War versus after this. These are not the same thing.
My point is the principle stands. That the
principle does not stand. The context changes how effective a principle is.
The government is insane.
The context of the event changes how effective a punishment accountability is. Correct?
Sorry, Reconstruction was one of the most unpopular things in the South and risked alienating the South further and leading to a further conflict. The only reason it didn't is because the South was fractured. Ideally,
hold on.
Coming out of a election or a Republican Party.
Also, to be clear, the other reason it did is because we stopped doing it because it was too burdensome on the South, and the South basically would have ran off.
Red shirt guy, are you advocating for banning the Republican Party?
Cover your mouth over his name, over his face, and it'll show you his name.
Whatever. I don't care. Hey, red shirt guy. I'll call him red shirt guy. So, are you advocating for banning the Republican Party? Is that what you're saying?
Well, no, but I would be banning. I would be
the MAGA wing.
No, not you. You're not red shirt guy. You're not red shirt guy.
Technically, he is. But also,
he is wearing a red shirt.
I
am in favor of banning the MAGA wing of the Republican Party. Yes.
I'm advocating more for
the MAGA wing.
Do you think that'll Stormwolf? I'm not talking to you. I'm not asking for your opinion here. I'm asking for his opinion. That's the person.
The MAGA wing of the Republican Party.
I think,
yes.
You're Stormwolf. I think you're great. I like you a lot. But so you're banning the Republican Party. Do you think that will
the MAGA wing of the Republican Party? Fuck. For the
just the MAGA wing of that's the Republican Party. There is no other.
No, it's not.
Barely anything else that like
you know what?
There's
whatever percentage it happens to be, get rid of them.
Okay, so just banning anyone who expresses anything MAGA-like in the future, you would say you're ineligible for office. Is that you think that's a good state of affairs?
MAGA-like in the future? What are we talking about?
No,
I have a great opinion on this. We should treat them like Nazis. Push them down in history. Anytime anyone asks you about your historical family lineage, you say, "Oh, I don't know, we were German." And when they look at you and ask you if you were a Nazi, you just say, "Oh, I don't know." We should treat MAGA like that, right? Anytime someone says, "Am I MAGA?" we should all look the other way and try to brush it away under the.
So But hold on. It's one thing to not elect them, right? Like, fuck MAGA. I don't want to elect them in office. They're awful, right? But should we have political tests to say that, oh, this person agrees with the MAGA movement, right? The historical MAGA movement, and so they're ineligible to run for office.
Bring McCarthyism back.
I'll answer directly. So if, let's say someone is running for office and someone digs up their 10-year-old tweets and it turns out they were pro-MAGA back in the day and now they're like, listen, I'm not pro-MAGA anymore. All right, all you have to do is publicly piss on a picture of Trump and you can run again. All right, that's the threshold to come back.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
okay.
People accountable.
Okay,
you guys,
Wick,
I'm gonna.
Wick, let me just do a quick olive branch to you.
Before you do.
Okay.
Before you do. Okay. I gotta use the restroom right back. I'll be right back.
Oh.
Gotcha.
I'll be back in a sec too.
Shipping in like hundreds of thousands of pounds of concrete and stuff into the Gaza Strip. Why couldn't they make any bomb shelters? What was going on with that?
I don't know if they were shipping. I know that
How'd they build the Gaza Strip? How'd they build the tunnels?
Yeah, how'd they build those tunnels?
A lot of the tunnels were pre-built. They didn't.
Pre-built? Who built them?
Yeah, actually, Israel built tunnels. Yeah, Israel built tunnels. Yeah, actually,
Israel went and pre-built.
They literally did.
What happened?
Israel went and pre-built all those tunnels.
Sorry, Israel. Some of those tunnels were pre-built. They weren't.
When you say some of those tunnels, are you referring to the single set of tunnels underneath El Shifa Hospital that you're conflating with every single tunnel that's been built in that entire Gaza Strip?
Some tunnels
the
were
one you're talking about. The one I know exactly the story.
I'm not talking about the one. There are other tunnels underneath Gaza. But in any case, right?
Oh, so how many? I'm just curious. What percentage of them?
I have fucking no idea.
If you had to guess, if you said 2% or 90%, what do you think is closer to 2% or 90%?
I didn't say they were all. So
I'm just curious. So I'm trying to bummer. Do you think 2% or 90%?
No fucking clue. I have no fucking clue, right? And in any case, right, the thing that was presented is that they have all these tunnels, right? Let's say there's a whole beehive of tunnels that they somehow built, right? They built all this beehive of tunnels.
Yep.
Is the solution here to put the entire Gaza population underneath while they're bombing?
We're saying they should have built bomb shelters instead of tunnels. They should have built bomb shelters instead of tunnels.
It's like a couple. Just a few.
Like it's actually
the tunnels act like bomb shelters any which way, right?
Well,
like
they don't use them.
And
go underneath, but they can't fit the entire population under there. They can't fit the entire population under there. Don't even try that. Like obviously, they can't fit the entire population under there.
And like, how much of the population is allowed to go into the tunnels? Then
is this supposed to be a solution? No, Stormwolf. Is that a solution? That you would put the entire population under there, right? Or maybe how many people? You tell me. No, tell me, huh? Oh, okay. No, I'll get you. No worries. I'll go.
Wick, you did this by going to the bathroom, by the way.
How many bomb shelters?
Immediately, I leave, and they do this. Wow.
At least one. No, I would give them
at least one.
Let's start with one and go from there.
But like, what does that mean, hon? Does a bomb shelter stop you?
Can I explain? Wait, can I just explain? There is no. So to be clear. The law of like there's no reason why you're supposed to build bomb shelters, which you are if you're in a humanitarian crisis like this or not in a war like this, is because you want to avoid human shields. Because technically speaking, international law is supposed to balance a country's ability to do warfare and a protection of civilians. That's why Hamas has the responsibility for why civilians are getting bombed, because they made no effort to protect their civilians. If Hamas was able to get away with no responsibility,
I should have held it. I should have pissed in that cranberry juice bottle.
The attacker has responsibilities. No, it doesn't matter if they're all in fucking huts, right?
The defender has a responsibility too. The defender,
that doesn't mean you can do anything to them.
Wait,
I'm sorry.
Wait, hold on, wait. The defender has a responsibility too. You acknowledge it. It's a war crime to allow your own civilian population to die and provide no cover for them. That is a war crime as well. Equally as much as attacking a population, you have an obligation to your civilian population.
And by the way, I think Israel wouldn't be responsible if a country fails to do it. The attacker isn't responsible if the country fails.
Stop for a second. Hold on. Destiny, even that's the case, right? You would say, okay, I'll take exactly what you said. Then Hamas would have committed a war crime, but then Israel would have done the war crime of bombing the civilians too. Correct? Right?
Nope.
Because there's
bombing civilians.
Oh my God, are we back on this shit?
Bombing civilians doesn't necessarily constitute a war crime. You have to prove.
And
solution.
We're not doing a proportionality assessment to make sure that they weren't killing civilians.
I don't care about Israel-Palestine right now. Okay, I want to give the mic to Kafka, who had some questions for me or whatever.
Kafka.
Okay, first, if someone just go and tell Hamas they could build the bomb shelters above the tunnels, the people would still be human shields, and the bomb shelters would be there. So everybody wins if they did that. But Wick, I'm going to extend an olive branch to you. What if we only ban the MAGA wing of the Republican Party for 10 years from office? What about that? What if we just say, hey, we're going to 10 years, let those old fuckers die off, get rid of the older MAGA people at the very least, give us 10 years.
It's the younger ones that are the problem.
For sure, but we're still keeping it on for 10 years. We fixed the system so when they come in,
and I'll tell you why.
Not even that. You wouldn't do that.
No, I am okay with limited targeted prosecution of Trump, of maybe Vance, maybe Hegseth, maybe a couple of people. Hegseth? Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Maybe.
Hegseth, right?
That's insane.
Maybe.
Hegseth,
right? We'd have to investigate to find out, right? I assume you agree.
What?
No.
I don't know. I thought that
do you think we
chat.
shouldn't investigate Hegseth? We should just charge him with whatever?
Yeah. He's guilty.
Yes, there's enough right now in the record.
Okay, what would you charge him with?
He should be investigated. Yes.
Did it.
I mean, we can investigate him for more, but I mean, we've already got enough, in my opinion.
Do you know? Do you actually know that the DoD has to like implicitly agree with every? Sorry, my bad. The DoW has to implicitly agree with every single one of his memorandums without. They have to, or else that they lose their job.
Yeah,
right?
He's been
every
purging
single one of his
so many
memorandums.
times.
Yeah, I think that's retarded.
So many black
I don't
men,
think that's
black
illegal.
Women, white women, other
No,
minorities.
it's not illegal.
It's not
but
illegal.
It's
So,
absolutely insane.
well, I think it is
It's
absolutely
not illegal, but
insane.
He's
It's
complicit. He's
incompetent.
absolutely
It's
complicit
malicious.
to Trump.
I don't think it's chargeable. I don't think this is one of those things we can charge them with.
I think being complicit to Trump is enough. I think it's conspiracy. I think it's racketeering, murder. It doesn't matter. It's everything. It's every single one of them. He's complicit to Trump. Just as I think that Kristi Noem should be charged with every single human rights violation that came out of ICE.
Wait, do you think it's a crime that they killed those people off the coast of Venezuela? Do you think that was a crime?
Probably.
Do you think Hegseth at all could be implicated in that?
Probably, but we'd have to investigate it because one of the problems with it is they're not giving us any. Hold on, stop. One of the problems is neither I nor you know whether or not it was legal because they refuse to release their reasoning and the evidence. So we'd have to look at that.
Well, okay, Wick, how about things they've already investigated then?
Again, I think it's okay to reopen those investigations that they already have on Trump and some of those other people. I think that's okay to do, but that's not what has been advocated for tonight.
So let's say Blue Wave 2028 should whoever it is that wins.
Yeah, reopen all the investigations against Trump. I'm okay with that. I do it with my blessing. Okay. Hoorah!
But
right?
Are you sure that's not going to make the Republicans feel worse and galvanize them more against you and all that shit?
Okay, not to the level banning 75% of them from office would.
Well, I don't know. They got really mad. Didn't you say that part of the reason why Trump won was because of the New York convictions? The first
yes,
wouldn't convict them of
it
even
was.
More crimes? Yeah,
and
so
the
why should we convict even more crimes?
Okay, because again,
the
context changes, circumstances change as we go, and what Trump is doing right now and the things that he is engaging right now has made him far less popular. And so I think it's okay to charge him.
Oh, wait, so we can only charge crimes based on how popular they are.
Hold on. When you talk about like what you could actually do, kind of yes.
Imagine if Hitler had your limitations, he would have been the great leader of Germany that he was if he had all the same constraints that you're thinking of.
Man, he voted on how to off himself, okay? Hitler decided what to do with Hitler.
Wait, Wick, didn't you make the argument earlier about how prosecuting Trump was what led to his popularity? So it doesn't matter if it's unpopular because
hold on, no, you're doing this game right where you aren't understanding the context of things. Yes, different action or the same action taken at different periods of time can lead to different results. If I jumped 3 feet now, I would just hit the wall. That'd be fine. But if I jumped 3 feet and there was a cliff, I would fucking die. You understand how different contexts can make the same action have different results. Yes, this is grade A, like grade K stuff, kindergarten stuff, right? You understand this?
Actually different.
Yeah, what's the difference?
Okay, the difference is the political realities on the ground. When Trump was in office in when Biden was in office, and everything was going to shit. We had all sorts of problems, right? And that was mostly due to COVID and the inflation and the things like that. And even though we did a lot of good recovery for that, right? We could not effectively use our political will because the people weren't behind us. And so trying in that environment to prosecute Trump was not viable. It didn't work. if those
Yeah, an
circumstances
all-time low in capability.
change,
What-
Except
then it will.
They ran out
the
of time.
Republicans don't.
Few of them.
The Republicans don't exist in a world of the political reality on the ground. They do not exist in a political reality that we can say, guys, we got to look at what's really going on right now. No, instead we have to look at whatever schizophrenic like shit they're believing from their news media and their top-down stuff. That's what we have to apparently deal with and like kind of read the bones over there to make sure we're not going to set them off too much. How about instead of that, we hold the people accountable, have an actual system of law that we implement without worrying about what half of the insane country that we have are going to act.
Because it won't work.
Why don't we do that?
Because it won't work.
How do we know if we don't try? We got to try.
Why wouldn't it work if you actually get the guilty verdicts and they go to jail?
That's the logic Tank uses for why we try left.
Why wouldn't it work?
Though, right?
Well, of course, it would work if it worked. Yes, obviously, you're correct.
True.
You're correct, Dev. If it worked and they go to jail and get convicted, it would work. Yes, but my argument is, again, if you try to do that with 75% of the Republican Party to bar them from ever holding office again, you are not going to win. And in fact, what you're going to do is you're going to feed an insurgent movement and showcase to the public that's going to think you're insane, right? Oh, like, wow, these guys are just as insane.
They're going to insert
Wait, can I ask a big question? Wick, how do we make it so that there are more of you in the conservative movement? How can we get that?
I'm not in the conservative movement.
How can we? No. But I'm asking, how do we get it so that when conservatives are thinking about doing crazy, unhinged shit, they're having these panels where they're like, guys, if we start like doing all this crazy shit, Democrats are going to come back on us. They're going to get us. How do we make it so that more Republicans are thinking like that? Because they don't think about that at all.
Hey, well, hold on. They're having a whole civil war on the right now about whether or not like they should showcase, they should go the Fuentes route or the Shapiro route. Right? They're having a whole big argument on the right now.
They're having a whole big argument on whether or not they should stay with MAGA populism, which is borderline fascist, or go full neo-Nazi. Wow. Well, my bad. I guess they are having these debates just in a different way. Thank you.
Yeah. So hold on, Kefka, right? I'm sorry, I'm a little confused. You had said a comment earlier. I just want to, would you be in favor of creating a law? Let's say there's nothing we can charge Republicans for, right? Currently, right? Would you be in favor of creating a law now and then charging them in the past with that law?
I wouldn't have a problem with that.
Whoa, that's a major violation of a Latin term that I don't remember the name of, but...
Okay, then impeach all the Supreme Court justices that don't agree with it, put in ones that do, and then boom.
I mean, that's like
it's fine.
within the Constitution.
That's all within the Constitution.
No. What you just said is a specific violation of the Constitution. I also forget the Latin term.
Not according to the Supreme Court that I'm going to put into place because I control the Congress.
This will never backfire.
I can impeach any Supreme Court justice that disagrees with me, and then my president is going to go in and put people in place that agree with me. And then whenever any Republican brings it to court, the Supreme Court's going to go, no, actually, this doesn't apply to the Constitution here.
So the country you want to create, right, is one that puts laws
that succeeds in every way possible. Yes.
It succeeds anyway. So, like, just a different sort of authoritarianism. All right. So you would put a law in place now, right, and say, hey, you group of people, you actually violated that law in the past. You didn't know it, but you did, right? And we'll put you in jail. And that's a country. That's the United States worth preserving. That's what you want.
Yes, yes, that is worth preserving over living in the country that I'm in right now. If I was living in Biden's America and someone suggested this, I'd be like, that's insane. Where I'm living right now, I would way rather live in that than where I'm at right now. Yes.
Yeah,
those
but
quick question.
Audience members, in case they know, this person actually wants to torch the Constitution. Like Destiny wasn't actually talking about
everything I said is within the Constitution. To be clear, as an attorney, I understand the Constitution. Everything I just said is within
the Constitution right now.
Prime, it's better to live in like a liberal authoritarian government than a MAGA one. Like it's just obvious.
Sorry, Destiny, what did you say before?
Wait, also, I think the 14th Amendment kind of applies retroactively too, technically, because it came in 1866 when it's ratified, and that's what that was cited oftentimes to prevent people from holding office for things they did in the Civil War. I understand the Civil War is not analogous completely. Wait, before you come at me, my point is though that like that was in sedition and conspiracy and like insurrection. We were able to say like, hey, you guys did this. The 14th Amendment just made more clear why they were able to be held underneath that. So I don't think I'm not a lawyer.
It's undergrad, but yeah. Right, the Constitution. Did you find a Destiny? There's a part within the Constitution that said, I don't know the exact.
Which part? Yes, Article 2, Section 4. It literally authorizes the legislature to do a post facto bill of attenders.
wasn't the original
Article 2
Nuremberg
is the
trials
president.
done after anyway, right? Like that was the
Yeah,
original
probably,
thing.
yeah.
Like that's the
Yeah,
whole
wait,
thing
also 'cause-
is that they went
yeah.
back.
So,
So
come
like,
on.
why are we questioning
Yes,
whether or not we can or can't? Because like that's
Well, the
we already
hypothetical is that there's
established
like if there,
something.
the hypothetical is that like let's say there's some actions they've done that we can't charge under any law, and I'm saying we'll just let the Congress make up a law that we can charge them under, and then whenever they try to come in and say, oh no, you can't charge me under this, we just have the Supreme Court say yes they can. What happens then? How would the Republicans get out of this debacle without? I mean, maybe with trans people, I don't know, but I can't think of one.
It'd be so easy. We just make 50,000 EOs, and then we
Sorry.
use them to charge everyone. Right?
Sure.
Because,
You
I
can't
mean,
do
that's
national
what
judges
EOs are
without
for.
EOs, by the way.
I would rather
hold on. Please.
Yes.
Please. Pondering Politics wants to know whether or not Destiny and Dev specifically support Democrats expanding the Supreme Court with sympathetic justices before they do these investigations, prosecutions, etc., to maximize the chance of success.
Impeach and replace is better than packing, but go ahead.
I mean,
I'm
I
in
think
favor.
I think there are strong arguments to expand the Supreme Court. I think we should have enough to have at least 2 justices per each circuit. And I think that packing the court is just a horrible crime, and I don't think you should ever have to do that. But unfortunately, if we're going to expand the court, I guess those first 10 picks would all be liberal ones, which just it's unfortunate.
We
But
should
after that,
expand
every
the
president will
court.
get 2 picks.
I think it's probably 1 per circuit, but yeah.
One?
We
No,
should
make it
actually-
2 per
So
circuit. Why not?
just to be
Fuck it.
clear, you both would support
Why don't we
this?
just deny them? Why don't we just deny them Supreme Court picks like we did in the past and just keep installing our own? That's what we just keep. What's the Republicans did? They've set this precedent, right? Like this is the issue. Like I think this is the issue that like Destiny keeps raising up, and I've seen him raise it up before on like Pierce and stuff. We're just constantly held to a different standard. Republicans break the law and they're extended as much grace as they want, and then Democrats are like, well, we can't pack the courts, we can't do this, we can't do that. Why? Like Republicans are
losing and we are winning. That's the reason.
Sure,
They
but Trump
control
is
every
winning.
aspect of the federal
election.
government.
They won the last election. They have 5 Supreme Court justices.
Hold on. They lost the last election, November 4th, 2025.
They
They got
lose that
shellacked at a level
Where
that
is
we
this?
haven't seen in a
Where is
long
Stonewall?
time.
Where do you live? Where are you
Districts
from?
that haven't
Where's this guy?
elected a
I'm from
Democrat
Jersey.
in
I'm from Jersey.
100
You're
years.
from Jersey?
A fucking
If-
century. Lost.
This guy
Not
right
from
here,
India.
there is at least one person on this panel that ICE could literally walk up to and demand their papers if he was
Wait, no,
doing the
at my
wrong
school.
job.
I'm at a
That's
school
where
that
we're at
had
right
like
now.
a huge
That's
case.
where we're at right now.
I'm at.
Thank
I
God
don't
he's
understand.
pro-Israel.
I'm at a school. Wait. I'm at a school that had a huge case of like someone getting detained by ICE. I have to carry my global entry card and everything at all times just in case because ICE is on our campus yesterday. Like this is
That
a
is
real
so
fear for me.
fucked up.
Well, like it's fine because I'm a citizen, but it's a real fear for me that I could just be detained randomly, right?
It's
Trump.
fine.
It doesn't matter that Trump.
That is-
It's
Citizens
not
all the time.
fine. That's the problem. It's not
That's
fucking
not
fine.
fine.
No.
It's terrible.
He agrees.
I come from
He
a
agrees.
I come from a rich family.
Yeah,
I come from a
this
rich
is Friendly
family.
Fire
I'll be
Gang.
fine.
Yeah,
He's
but I
agreeing with
agree
I
with
come
you.
from a middle class
Saying it's
family, as Destiny
fine,
said
that you
earlier
might
today.
be
No, he agrees it's a
Hey.
problem. No, he agrees. He agrees it's a problem. He does agree it's a
Well,
problem.
my point
He's
is- well,
saying
my point-
it's fine.
my
It
point
will
is-
survive.
How did
Because
we
I
get
also
here to
come
really,
from-
oh no, it's
I
fine.
come
I'm a
from-
citizen. No, it's not fucking
Well, no,
fine.
I come-
No.
We understand
I
that.
agree it's not
everyone
fine.
agrees.
Yeah,
Wait,
yeah.
Let him finish his point. Let him
What I'm
finish
saying-
his point. Finish
what
your
I'm saying
point,
is-
Glasses
All right,
Guy.
What I'm saying
sorry,
is-
go ahead.
Yes, we won the last election. The issue is that we lost the presidential election and Trump is destroying this country. The reason I say I'm fine is only by virtue of the fact that I'm from, well, I just was making this joke earlier about being an upper middle class. I'm from a rich family. I'm from a rich town. This was like early in his stream.
If you're from a rich
Scott,
town,
point is-
prove it right now by donating a bunch of money to me. Go ahead, prove it.
That's true.
Wick, you said it right though.
My
We
point
won the last election, and it might
I
be the
support
last
it.
election we
I
have.
support it.
So who
Yeah,
cares
exactly.
about
I don't
anything
know
forward?
They're trying to gerrymander midterms. That's why, like, Gavin Newsom, I don't know if he's like the candidate I want the most in terms of policy perspective, but he's the only one who understands that if Republicans are going to play like this, then we better spit it right back in their face and show them, fuck no, get out of here. If you want to gerrymander,
We're losing.
gerrymander.
They are losing because they're playing like this. They are losing because they're playing this explicitly because they are doing
they're
this.
losing because
The public
economy's
is
so
turning
bad and
against
some
them
tariffs are
and
awful,
kicking them
but
out of
Trump is
office.
trying to rig elections.
And you want to do
Wait,
the
what about
exact
the
same
SAVAC?
thing
How much
that's
you know about
making
the
them
SAVAC?
lose.
How much you know about the SAVAC?
Did you know
How
that
much
two
you know
different
about
things
SAVAC?
are the exact same thing?
Oh,
Did you
God.
know that?
I'm gonna.
Also, did you know
Wait,
Trump,
today.
did you know
I'm gonna-
Trump is torching an
can't
election
say it online.
verification committee? He started this at the beginning of his term. He literally already went and tried to destroy an election verification committee because he wants to like be able to control the outcome of elections more, or at least stop like wants to be able to claim rigged elections more so he could start doing it. Because at least then, the Election Verification Committee, he could use, it was an independent committee, he started torching their power. He passed the SAVE Act to limit who all can vote. They're doing gerrymandering. They're already making encroachments on voting rights.
But you understand how this is going to be dummy mandering. They're going to try to gerrymander these things, but after the last election in November 5th, they are realizing, hold on, there's a realizing Kentucky first. I'll give you a specific example. Kentucky, immediately after November 4th election, they dropped their bid to gerrymandering because they realized this gerrymandering shit was going to be a dummy mander, right? Where they're going to actually lose seats because they watered down their margins by a lot. So they could try, but they're going to fucking fail.
There was two other things I mentioned, which is supposed to be a broader point of how the elections are at risk. Winning elections isn't enough. You can't just look on one gerrymandering point. My point is that
I would say that if we're gonna like legitimately worry about this, we'd have to wait until like you would need like some kind of like Republican election official to buy up like all fucking Dominion or something before this is a huge problem, I think.
Oh wait.
Destiny.
Wait.
Yeah.
Destiny, someone did that.
Okay.
No way, really? That would be crazy. Wouldn't that be crazy?
Again.
Yeah, that would be insane.
That would be pretty crazy.
In a situation where we can prove that they have actually rigged an election, then my advocacy changes.
Wait a minute.
Elon Musk,
We'd
time
have
they
to run
ever
a
did
trial
that.
to do that, right? We would have to go through the process to do that, to figure out if we can actually, if we have enough evidence, right? Like,
yeah, obviously we'd have to go through the process to do it.
I don't know how obvious they're going to rig elections.
But we might lose that trial though. And if we lost that, then that'd be a problem.
Well, I mean, one second. I don't know if we need that trial because Donald Trump pardoned every single J6 false elector. True. So it seems like he really thinks that there was a possibility or some kind of time that they could have been charged and convicted of something. So it sure does seem like the people that tried it do think that they did do that. But maybe I don't know. Maybe there's some context.
Oh, hold on. Wick his mind just went off. Go ahead, Wick. Hit him up with it. I know what you want to say. Do it.
No, I'll let you go.
Okay, never mind.
Okay. Anyway,
Wick. Just out of curiosity, when it comes time, what are you going to be writing on your bullet casings?
Oh, I'm going to write. I'll write. I don't know. Liberal forever. Okay. Hard R liberals. Stuff like that. Okay. Hard R liberals. Yeah. Okay, gang. It's been a peach. It's been fun. I'm tired. Okay. You guys, this has been a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 versus 1, and I've come out winning, okay, as I always do. Thank you all for coming to my show today. I do appreciate you all for being here. We're going to have more of these conversations in the future. Trump's going to do more insane shit, and it's very important that we stop him effectively. I think my way is more effective. That's it. Okay, thank you again. I'll see you guys later. Wait, bye-bye, everyone.
Court tomorrow, 12 o'clock.
It was great meeting you, Destiny. Huge fan.